Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
Thing that caught my eye as I was walking out here was Morgan Moses and Will Campbell, a one-on-one session in the middle of the practice field.
I might need a moment.
It started just with him and Will Campbell. And Will Campbell's like...
more people came over?
Yeah, Will Campbell's Caden Wallace came over, and Caden Wallace just standing there watching Morgan Moses, listening.
Oh, I love it.
And then Marcus Bryant, he starts to come over, and then all of them are kind of like...
tackles!
Morgan Moses...
He's feeding the masses with, 2 loaves of bread and a fish.
Every word that guy says, I was hanging on it. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Tell me more, Morgan.
Yeah.
Will you be my dad?
Our first day of OTA, so we're ready to go.
Plus, Paul's not here to rain on our parade.
Yeah, Paul was grumpy.
They were okay.
Eeyore.
I've been thinking too much about this Father Fred show. It keeps popping into my head.
I actually have my treatment, but it's not Father Fred. It's Chicago Pope.
Right.
He became as good a priest as he was a cop, and he rose. He became a bishop, then a cardinal, and then eventually Pope. But when he was young, he was a police officer.
Okay.
And he was a damn good one. He could never turn his back on Chicago. So he always goes back to help them fight crime. You ever hear about my time in Tampa?
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is a rainy Thursday here at Gillette Stadium. Temperatures are in the 40s. We're back to winter here in New England. It's crazy.
I feel bad for the North Carolina women's lacrosse team that was just walking onto the stadium for practice.
I know, I was thinking about that. We got NCAA lacrosse here, the Final Four this weekend. The women have their semis today. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Tomorrow, I think.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
What's today? Thursday? Yeah. So they're going to be playing tomorrow, but the weather is terrible. They got practice, and it's awful.
Yeah.
Get hit with one of those lacrosse balls in this weather. Ooh, that hurts.
Been there,
it
done
always
that.
hurts.
Yeah.
Stinks.
Anyway, it's Evan. Paul's back. It's Deuce. It's me. Matt's in the booth. We're talking Patriots for the next 2 hours. OTAs. We went to those a couple days ago. We wrapped that up. So I don't know if there's any lingering observations that you have.
Yes, Mike, are there any more shots you'd like to take at me in my absence?
No, Paul, why don't you tell us everything that went wrong with that practice?
Yeah. That's a good point. You guys probably never mentioned the fact that the quarterback threw 4 interceptions.
We did.
Now I'll let everybody know that happened. And I am also going to let everybody know that it didn't bother me at all. Didn't bother me at all.
That's
because
true.
when you're installing an offense, things are happening for a variety of different reasons, and they don't all mean something bad.
Yeah.
So didn't bother me in the least.
Okay.
No, me too.
Is that raining on your parade, Mike?
No, my parade's
You
still
too.
going.
Don't think I didn't hear you in the background.
I was hoping you were listening while we were doing it. No, it was. I agree with what you said. It's. I think the reasonable people understand. This is. I was thinking about it. Do you want Drake May to come in and look instantly perfect in this offense? Would that make would that make you feel better?
Yeah, that would make me feel good.
It's really simple.
I'm not going to lie. It would have made me feel better if he threw 4 touchdowns instead of 4 interceptions. But
I don't want those. No, Paul. That's like 12-win seasons. I'm done with it.
Well, then Paul would be all over the defense. What's wrong with the defense?
Well, just one particular play, and it wasn't one of the interceptions. Just as an example of you don't really know exactly what they're trying to do. Is Alex Austin knocked down a pass at one point, and Mike Vrabel really gave it to him. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you don't make a play on the ball in that. So I'm not telling you that the interceptions were on purpose or anything else, but just don't read too much into things that are going on with shorts and helmets on an OTA or a minicamp practice field, because there's a lot of different things that are at work, and you're not privy to most of them.
Right.
I think this is an install, and there's nothing more important to the coaching staff, Josh McDaniels, Mike Vrabel, than teaching these players how to execute the playbook. And they do nothing probably this offseason other than trying to think, how can I teach my players this playbook? And so I think some of the Paul shows were implying no, they just took the Brady playbook from 2019 and everything that it entailed and piled it on, and here it is. I don't think that's...
And one thing, if I'm Josh McDaniels, that I'm telling Drake May and all my offense, run the play. Don't hold the ball. Just throw it where it's supposed to be. We need to see what's working and what's not working. And so, you're not supposed to ad-lib this time of year. You know, don't freelance. Just run it the way we call it, and we'll work out the
Whether
details.
it's there or not.
Whether it's there or not, and we'll work it out afterwards. But don't, follow the script.
Yeah.
The timing of the script.
It's a process, right? I mean,
Yeah.
One of the good things about this time of year, though, is that we get these like checkpoints, and now we'll see them next week, and then we'll see them a week after that, and we hopefully will see it improving, and it
Absolutely.
getting better and better as the summer goes along. But
Hopefully.
I just think the one thing that is fair in my mind is that they are installing a brand new offense for the second year in a row for Drake May. Like, he did not run this offense last year. And so instead of hitting the ground running in year 2, we're not back to square one because he played last year. So like he's, we're still a little higher, a lot further along than what he would have been as a rookie. But it is kind of like 2 steps, back to take
Right. The
3
speed of the
steps
game
forward.
shouldn't be new to him.
Right.
And
Speed
that's
of-
the
no.
usual thing that, trips up most of these guys is the speed of the game. But listen, have I been, victim of looking at things too optimistically? Yes. And, maybe I am right now. But right now, I think it's way too early to be worried.
Yeah.
Now, if we get into training camp and this continues, okay.
But even last year, it started at a level, and then it steadily rose in training camp. Because I don't think he looked great at the start of training camp last year, but there was a time,
Joe Milton time, right?
that it sort of clicked for him, and he seemed to get better and better as camp progressed to the point where we all felt like maybe he had won the job.
Right.
Yeah.
I just think a lot of people fairly were hoping that it was going to pick up right where it left off.
Yeah.
And so that we didn't have this adjustment period or, whatever you want to call it, that it seems to be happening right now. And instead we're reinstalling a new offense, and they're kind of starting from a lower level than if you were just carrying it over from last year. But the ceiling of what they're able to do with McDaniels and with the pieces, that's what they're working towards, and it's so much higher than what they had last year.
Right.
So it's worth it. It's going to hopefully
the
be
hope.
worth it in the long run. But right now, I understand why people are disappointed that, we were changing everything up on them, and now we're starting over, and I get that. It's
Such a
the
headline,
process.
too, coming out of the 4 interceptions. It's easy to say. I would just say, though, honestly, I just think this underscores where the ceiling of this team lies hidden, and that is with Drake May. And how good is he going to be this year? They've got a lot more talent on the team, no question, but it all revolves around him. If he takes that next step, then they'll be better. And if he doesn't, and he's sloppy, and then they're going to be probably mired below the middle.
They'll
those
be one of
places.
those teams that has some talent but has struggled to put it together because of the quarterback.
Yeah.
And, as you know, Mike, I do a lot of, talking around the area. And one of the questions I'm often asked.
Libraries near you.
No, so I was at a banquet the other night. And, I did. I
The
had
rubber
like-
chicken.
I was on the rubber chicken. It was actually a pretty good steak.
Oh, okay.
Good spread.
Not
Good
gonna
spread.
lie. Not gonna lie. It was a pretty good steak.
Lombardo's and
A
Randolph.
lot of people just. So what do you think? What do you? It seems like there's a lot of excitement, this and that. And I said, yeah. My answer is pretty much the same to everybody. They've improved on paper. The players, same stuff we talk about here. The players they've brought in my view, are better than the players they're going to be replacing in most cases. But not much of that is going to matter if Drake May doesn't make
That's
the
true.
progression like
Yeah.
Mike just said.
That's true.
Yeah. I just think it's important because on one hand, you can't kill Drake for that. I mean, I think that's part of learning, and maybe we're taking a half step back to try to take 5 steps forward, like Evan said. But at the same time, you can't sweep under the rug how important Drake May's progress is this year. And, even if the other talent doesn't live up to some of the expectations, Drake May could offset some of that. So if the number 1 wide receiver isn't, doesn't emerge, or if Stephon Diggs isn't that pure prototypical number 1, if Drake May's playing really well, it'll matter less. I mean, it still obviously will matter, but I just think everything revolves around Drake May this year, for better or worse. That's going to be.
If you're Vrabel, do you care about the scrutiny that the media is giving your quarterback, and are you thinking about that as you plan your practices to maybe set him up to get some early success so that it alleviates some of that? I mean, maybe I'm overthinking
I don't know.
it.
I put on my Vrabel hat being like, it's the NFL. There's pressure. People are going to talk.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah, I
get
don't know if
used
you
to
can
it.
hide him, right? Like that's what they did to Mac Jones.
I think you're onto something.
they hit him,
Yeah.
his rookie year, and eventually it's going to come out whether he can play or not.
I don't
So-
think Mike really thinks it's necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
He should be.
Yeah.
He should be scrutinized. Now, I will say I didn't listen to as much. I was joking around, but I have been. It's a busy week for me, so I haven't heard as much of my shows as I normally do.
Yeah.
I didn't hear a ton of overreaction to the 4 picks, which I was kind of expecting. Not gonna lie, I thought there would be a ton of like, oh, what's going on? It's more like what you're talking about, Fred.
Yeah.
Like the concern is for Drake May, this is 4 offensive coordinators in 4 years. His 2 years at North Carolina, now 2 years with the Patriots, 4 different offensive coordinators. And I think that's a legit concern.
Yep.
I don't think the concern is, oh my God, he threw 4 interceptions.
blow it up. It's
In an OTA. And I haven't heard a ton of concern for that.
Yeah.
But I'll bet Mike,
Yeah.
you might be right. I
That
don't
seems
think
variable to me. Of
that
get used to a
sounds
kid,
like one of those things. Hey, that's life. That Vrabel, is
Yeah.
sort of likes that situation where, you sort of get your feet to the fire a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, he knows well. You said they had some epic interactions between Felger and him in the locker room, right? So no one knows better than Mike Vrabel the kind of scrutiny that this team is constantly under.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Well, there's that, and
No
then,
panic.
We're still receiving comments from Forge and Foxborough. People are loving it. I'm loving the access that we were granted, by the team. It was unprecedented. When I thought maybe at some point in the show, maybe now or maybe later, we kind of break down what we liked in it and what we gleaned from it.
I like Mike Dussault's presence.
Yeah.
I was going to say Paul
Yeah.
Perillo's presence.
That's
My
very
hair was all
exciting.
over the place. You see the people making fun of the hair sticking out of the side? I needed a little help.
It's an Easter egg.
I needed a little
Very
help.
excited.
We gotta
when the
digitally
two
Use
erase
the
flash
Brill
on the
cream,
screen.
Uh,
I'll get you some paste.
quick funny story.
Little dab will do you.
Yeah.
Regarding this, the football video guys were walking through the tunnel, and I saw one of the construction people who were here working stop one of them and was saying, "I love Forge and Foxborough." They're telling the football video guys that,
Yeah.
and they're like, "No, we didn't make it, but thanks." Well, and I overheard it, so I was like, "Oh no, that's cool." But I've heard a lot of really good reactions from Patriots fans. For me, I always mention the Belichick talking to his team in the 09 documentary is my favorite part. I love seeing coaches talk to their teams and the methods they use. So for me, that first part with Vrabel talking to the team, that was my favorite part.
Well, when we saw that, we've had Belichick and even Mayo last year, and we asked over the years, hey, can we, do a team meeting, especially that first one, and always the answer was no. And these guys said, yeah, let's do it. And so I'd never really seen one before. So for me, this is gold.
Yeah,
this is
I
golden.
agree.
And we're sitting
That
there.
was great.
We're sitting there looking at this, and we're like, this has to be the lead.
Yeah.
We have to open this thing up with that.
Yeah.
Because that's what gets you going, and that's how he introduced himself to his team, and I think that's how we decided how we should introduce the video to the people.
It's credit to Vrabel in football because I know as a coach that's a very important moment. Like what you're setting the tone for your team. I can understand completely why a team and a coach would not want cameras in there. So I think it was great that they allowed that access. And I know fans like me eat that up. Eat it up.
Yeah.
It's great stuff.
Do you think he rehearses it the night before? Or do you?
I think so.
In the mirror, maybe. Like
Yeah, I don't know about it, but
I was genuinely curious
coaching
because it
bits.
seemed like he
Yeah.
there was no stumbles. There was no it was like he knew exactly what he wanted to say when he got up there.
He's probably heard it from other coaches a million times, and he's done it before.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he thinks about what he's going to say and goes over it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he clearly had some bullet points
Yeah.
that he was going off of.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I really liked that part too. And like Fred said, we've been, Fred and I have been around for 100 years. So pretty much all of this stuff we've done in some iteration or another over the years. I don't ever recall this. Yeah. If we've had cameras in a team meeting, which I don't think we have, we've certainly never seen it.
No.
So that was the part that really stood out to me was, wow. So that's what it's like. That first team meeting, it's kind of like, when you were playing high school sports and your coach said, this is what you do, and if you're not going to be at practice, you need to call. Right. Like it's the most, like the most basic.
I need
rules.
you, Paul. I still don't have your emergency contact.
right. And your user fee,
your compliance forms and all that stuff you have to turn in.
Yeah.
The other part to me, though, I thought was really interesting was just seeing the interactions in the draft room between Cowden, Wolf, and Vrabel to see what that dynamic is like and how it's developing. That's been a big talking point this offseason. That was another part, that weighing trade offers. How does it? I mean, it seemed like it was working pretty well. It's three GM type guys trying to figure out what they want to do. So that was the other part.
In that part, in that intro. I would also say that some of the B-roll that we played while Mike was talking of like in the weight room and some of that stuff was great footage, great stuff that we've been able to shoot, but again, not necessarily been able to show.
Well, with Bill, we would never allow it in the weight room. Very rarely.
No, but we
had to be like really tight on a guy.
Yeah. And that's why I said I thought this was really good footage in the background. So, my only, you said like what we liked, what we didn't like. My only critique basically would just be the length of,
I've heard that.
of different things. And like even the meeting, I think, was like over 7 minutes. Whereas I think you kind of got an idea of where they were going. But, I mean, I think Mike is right. I think if you're a Patriots fan and you're watching this is like a real peek behind the curtain to all these things that we've never really been able to see and experience. I thought it was great.
Well, it's funny because like we had so many planning sessions to do this, and how much footage do we have, and we're guessing like how long is this thing going to be, and it was everything from 45 minutes to 2 hours, and you get it's the first time like we were able to do this, and you're making decisions like, well, what should we take out, what should we leave in, and we kind of made the decision. It's like, leave most of it in. It's the first time for us and the fans. Mm-hmm. If we do this again next year, which we probably will edit it down a little bit more, because you're not going to have another 7 minutes of Mike Vrabel in the first team meeting. You either cut that down or you do something else. But for the first time, it was like, leave it in. Give the fans what we have.
Sure.
And it was 72-minute, I think, runtime, which is long in today's day and age for people's attention spans. But I think that's fine. That's fine. In this case, I think more was better because it's the first time.
I think it comes at the right time, too, because let's face it, Patriots fans, a little bit of a crisis of confidence right now in the team and the operation and how things have been going the last couple of years. And now to show a glimpse of a head coach who's been a head coach before and knows what he wants to do and comes prepared, I think it's reassuring and brings some of that confidence back that, all right, this team knows what they're trying to do. They brought in the kind of players that all have a type, and it makes sense. I keep hearing that on everything. Paul shows, our stupid podcast that we listen to, like everybody, it just makes sense what they've done. Now, will it all come together and work? It'll depend on Drake May. We don't know. It's a chemistry experiment as always, but I think it feels like the people who know football and are here and have a system in place that should.
Do you think
work.
it needed a narrator?
No. I personally do. I do, but I
think it could have helped.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The transitions.
Yeah. It didn't have to be. It didn't have to be Hard Knock style where the narrator's talking constantly, but like Paul said, some of the transitions or.
See, I to me, it's either you've got a narrator or you don't. Like if you just use it like in here
crutch.
and there,
That's
then
more
it's
of a
like,
crutch,
well, why didn't you use it over here? So I don't know. I thought it was okay without a narrator. I get with the transitions could have been a little bit more. Like in the beginning, we heard like, oh, what's, you're using the symbolism of building a foundation, and it would have been nice to tell people what that actually was, because we know what it was. It's the new training facility that's opening next April. But we've had so far 500,000 people worldwide that have watched this thing on YouTube alone, and they don't know what that is. So it's great to have symbolism, but in this case, it really was something. And I don't know, maybe we should have used at least a graphic to say what
if you
that
weren't going to do a narrator, then maybe a little bit more graphics just to let people know. But this is all nitpicking. I mean, and first of all, it's the first time we've done something of this scope.
Right.
And I think
and all internally.
This was and this was I think I'd be stunned if we get much negativity from any fans that watch this.
Oh, it's been
In terms of
overwhelmingly
like, what a bunch
Yeah.
of crap content. Like I can't imagine that anybody that's a Patriots fan watches this and says that's no good.
No.
Now, could it be better? Always. I mean, there's no such thing as a perfect,
Everyone has their taste and
perfect piece of
opinions.
content.
Yeah, my personal favorite part was all the scouting meetings, obviously, and like hearing them talk about prospects. And when we went to the Senior Bowl, I had a conversation with No Socks, and I remember him saying, like, if we can just get them talking about one guy
that we actually
draft, like that's all we need.
And we had multiples,
and I spent like an hour with No Socks and Bradley and going over different prospects and like who could be the one guy. And to hear one of our scouts, I think it might have been Tucker, say Kyle Williams' name, I was like, that's so cool. Like that was 100% authentic. That wasn't like we faked it,
right?
And like 6 months later we put that in. Like that was 100% real in the moment. He said that Kyle Williams was the best receiver at the Senior Bowl, and then we ended up drafting him 5 months later. Like that was really cool, and all those guys deserve a ton of credit for what goes into this whole draft process. And it was cool to give them some shine. Some of our scouts, Matt Evans and JT Hill and Tucker and all those guys that do a really good job. And they also listen to us, FYI. So they're fans of the show as well. But
is that why you're polishing it up a little bit?
Of course. But yeah, they do a greit job, and it was cool to see their work kind of behind the scenes a little bit. And like that drive from the hotel to the stadium, like I've made that same drive now 2 years in a row, and like that was all authentic and real, which I thought was cool. We didn't just film it a couple weeks ago and say Kyle Williams, like that was real.
No, it was, and we got lucky.
Yeah,
we got lucky.
Yeah.
You were there though. Did you think Kyle Williams was the best receiver at the Senior Bowl?
I thought it was between him and Jalen Knoll from Iowa State. I thought both those guys had really good weeks. We joked about with Kyle Williams, they go in alphabetical order. So Williams is obviously last. So he was the last one to rep in every single drill, every single one-on-one. So I feel like he kind of got like lost a little bit because of that. Some people had moved their eyes on to something different or something. But what's cool about how the way they do it is they have so many scouts that each scout gets a position. So it's like somebody's focus is on wide receivers, so all they're doing all day is watching the wide receivers, whereas we have to watch everything, try to watch everything. So it was cool, but he definitely had a good Senior Bowl week, and then we had the footage to kind of like prove it, that he had a good week. And we also had Cam talking about Will Campbell. I think that was at the Combine, right? That footage of him talking about Will Campbell.
Will Campbell, we kind of knew, right?
Yeah.
Right?
But why can't I think of the Florida State defensive line as a Farmer?
Joshua Farmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another
Yeah.
one.
That was
That's right.
another
So
one.
like
They-
there were multiples.
They were sitting, the three of them, Elliott Wolf, Vrabel, and Cowden, were sitting like at the 50-yard line inside the stadium down there in Mobile, the three of them together. And I think I said at one point, like, oh, it'd be cool to be in on that conversation. And someone said to me, we are in on that conversation. And those were the things that they were obviously talking about. And that was really cool. I mean, that's what we're all doing. We're just sitting there watching and talking about players. And
the behind-the-scenes scouting stuff, I agree with Evan, was really good. There was a couple of little individual things that pop up from time to time that I thought were great. And one of them that really stood out to me was having, when we went to the NFL free agency, not the college stuff, the NFL free agent additions, and then having Jamar Chase talk about Carlton Davis as being the toughest corner he went against. He faced him a couple of times. That's fantastic stuff. And to have that included in that piece, I thought added
and to get Carlton Davis's reaction.
Yeah.
That was really good.
I hadn't seen that.
No.
Imagine if you were a Patriots fan at like the last game of the season, they won, and you just turn the TV off, and then you wake up now and you flip that on. Like, there's an hour and whatever, like, catch you right up. Everything that happened. You were right there for every single moment. So I think the only way you could disappoint fans is if you overpromised and underdelivered and said, we've got all kinds of access.
Yeah.
And then you didn't really. But this delivered
Well,
because
now,
it had all
now
the
the pressure's
access.
on, right?
Yeah.
Now the pressure's on. Everyone expects another one and to be as good, if not better.
Yeah. The other part that I really liked was the Stephon Diggs kind of reveal,
Yeah, right.
because it was building up to that where it was like, well, yeah, they got all these pieces on defense, but they kind of need that star
you just see
receiver,
him.
and then it's
Right.
just Diggs. And
Right.
I was like, that kind of gives you goosebumps. You're like, there you go.
Yeah,
Like
that's a good cut.
that's what we were looking for. So that was really cool as well. But for me, the scouting stuff was gold. Like I wish that I could see the raw footage, right?
I don't know
all
why you
that.
don't just cut out the middleman and just do it. What are you doing?
What?
Go be a scout.
Oh yeah. Well,
Go
That's
work
what
for
you
our
want.
lads.
That's what you want to do. No, go
Tucker,
work for
guys,
the
if you're
Patriots.
listening, Evan.
you're gonna get me that job. Yeah. No, it was cool.
Fred's the
they're
king.
listening.
Fred's the kingmaker.
Yeah.
He can get this done.
I'm only kidding.
Well, no, listen.
I would like
it's
that,
your
though. We
passion.
talk about this is probably Evan's pick. Like, we're analyzing, like,
Right.
oh, here we go
Look
again.
at this guy.
Barth would
Great
never be
triangle
allowed
numbers.
to break news ever again because
might have to break up with Barth.
I would get fired immediately.
Alex, it's not going to work anymore.
Yeah.
I've got too many things that I
Todd,
know.
New Hampshire says big no on the narrator. I don't want to be told what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Well, that's not exactly what they do. If you do it right.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not what the narrator
It's a
does.
debate I've had a couple of times with projects that I've worked on. Like, do you need a narrator or you don't? And I just, some things need it. I just don't want it to ever be a crutch where,
Yeah.
instead of being able to show, you have to tell.
Yeah.
Show, don't tell.
Other than a graphic here and there, I don't think this needed it. Now I'm close to it. I watched it a million times. I never thought, we need a narrator. I never thought that.
Yeah, it's hard too from your position because you I'm trying to think how to phrase this. Like, so much, so you don't know like what's in there, or what isn't. So like something like the training facility, like for me when I was watching initially, I'm like, that's the training. I just knew. It didn't really occur to me that people outside would be like, I have no idea. What
See,
that
I
building
stepped
is.
back and I was talking to Fred about this a little bit, and I just said, I pretended I don't work here.
Right.
When I watched it, I'm just the first thing I wrote in my notes was, "What is this?"
Yeah.
with a question mark. I didn't know that this was the introductory team meeting, and I didn't know that the construction was actual construction taking place in Foxborough, because I'm trying to pretend I'm not here every day, knowing that building is going up right behind where I park every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's it, and it didn't. Fred's right. It doesn't have to be a narrator. It could be graphics.
Yeah.
Michelle, who loves it when I call her Shalata.
Oh, good to hear from you, Michelle.
She thought it was amazing in caps. Right around the 18-minute mark, there's a sequence where Vrabel is coaching at the Texans, where he tells Brown, who's coming off the field,
That's funny.
having
Courtney
sacked the
Brown.
quarterback, to go over to his teammate and tell him that he did a great job. That split second got me so hyped. Let's effing go.
I love
So-
that. You can't get tired.
Yeah.
We have no guys.
Fantastic.
You can't tap out.
Fantastic footage. The Houston stuff on the sideline when Mike was there. Really, I'm glad that Michelle brought that up.
Yeah.
Fred,
That was
how
really
did we
good.
get that footage? Like, did the Texans
Well, that's
get-
NFL Films.
NFL Films.
They produced that. That's been out there.
got it?
Yeah.
It reminded me of, I heard Gino Ariema mic'd up at a practice, and he was telling his team, he's like, the best players don't get tired. They just don't get tired.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that kind of resonates with me. Like, the best guys, they always, the big moments, those are the guys that still have the juice to go.
You can't tap out.
Yeah.
That was so funny. We don't have the guys.
Yeah.
But then he goes and makes a play. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
So.
I watched it with Jess, which was cool because, like, to Paul's point, like, we know everything, right? Like, we're really close to it, so it's always cool to get like her reactions, and she loved it. I think the only thing that she said is, she consumes all of our content, and so some of the stuff like she had already seen from like Diggs's first day and Campbell's first day and things like that. But other than that, she sat there for the entire 72 minutes and watched it with me. So.
Yeah. And again, that's the thing. You have to remember that we see everything.
Yeah.
So we're jaded.
Yep.
But most of the people who watch this, they hadn't seen all that stuff.
Yeah, and she knew maybe she knew what the practice facility was just because I've talked about it and we've talked about it.
Yeah,
But
we're jaded, Mike, but even I didn't want to rain on anyone's parade. I enjoyed it.
Paul, it's referring to the weather. It's more a weather thing.
No, it's good stuff. And I'm kind of a sucker for the documentaries. I like documentaries in general.
Yeah, me too.
But I like what we did, and I hope we can do more stuff like it.
I feel like the hard part, Fred, is now that there's a lot of access and footage behind the scenes and you're putting out a lot of stuff, is how to balance what we've already released with what's going to be new footage, and just the balance of not, we put out
holding things back.
holding some things back, but all right, yes, we did put this out on social already, but we're going to put it, like the balancing act of all the footage. And
that'd be
the
like
hard
what
part.
my one nitpick is, like it's kind of exactly what Deuce just said. Like, how do you balance, we've already put this in Will Campbell's first day.
Well, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Just on Tuesday when I was having my moment, you were telling me about Morgan Moses.
Yeah.
Speaking from unfortunately, all the media was there, so everyone saw that.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So we were having a meeting yesterday. We're filming every practice, right? In these OTAs, and they're like, yeah. I go, okay.
Yeah.
Let's hope we can get some other stuff that people haven't seen that
Right.
they allow us to use.
Yeah, like on these closed days, if they're
Yeah.
out there even
Right.
longer, maybe like going
Right.
and doing stuff like that.
They're
Yeah.
out there in the rain
I'll
right
have
now.
you know, by the way, that Mike and I were walking off the field together, and before I left, when you guys were getting ready to do the show on Tuesday, I said, "You saw that Will Campbell Morgan Moses thing, right?"
Yeah.
I go, "That's it. That's the thing."
I know.
That's gold.
Well, you'll be proud of me, Paul. My two headlines, Fred was sitting in here all alone at this desk doing it, and I said my two takeaways were Drake Ray threw 4 interceptions, and Will Campbell and Morgan Moses having private tutoring session.
Kindred spirits. Those
Kindred
two.
spirits.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody was like, you could feel the buzz, like, because interviews were going on at the podiums after practice, but no one was paying.
No one was paying attention.
Morgan
Yeah.
Moses over there. Will Campbell.
Yeah.
I mean, we were all here, and when he came in and we interviewed him, the same thing. We were all thinking the same thing. This guy's a leader.
Yeah.
This guy, he's a Pied Piper in a good way.
Yeah.
I mean, when Randy Moss was here, he was a Pied Piper, but you had to worry where he was leading people. This guy's
Yeah.
going to put him on the right track, and it's so great to see that he's already in that role.
Yeah.
Like it took him no time to be in that role.
I feel like he's going to be a captain. Like I really feel like he's on that track right now, and it was cool to see. And it's one of those things too, from a media perspective. Like, we're not really supposed to take pictures of the field in that window, like
Yeah.
after practice, but so many people were going up to PR being like, "Can we got to take pictures of this?" Like this.
And
is
if I was PR,
really
I would
cool.
say, yeah, you can
Yeah,
use
so
it,
that's
'cause-
why,
yeah,
everybody got the
positive.
okay. But there was also, over to the other side, just Kyle Williams and Efton Chisholm were catching balls on the jugs machine for right after practice for maybe 10, 15 minutes, and Kyle Williams was catching them one-handed, like just like on purpose. Like he was practicing that, and so he was catching one-handed passes with his right hand just over and over and over again. And it seems like there's a bunch of different guys that were doing that in the back. I couldn't see who it was, but a couple of the pass rushers were still doing stuff, in the back of the field, and like there was good work ethic there. Like you could feel, some urgency. Yeah.
Get the extra work. After seeing that picture, I was inspired to go back and look at. I was just curious. Look at Morgan Moses' scouting report. I was just wanted to, because we spent so much time talking about Will Campbell. First of all, I was like, I didn't realize he had 35 and 3/8 inch arms. So I know a lot. Another thing that some people talked about were like Will Campbell looked, a little small out there. His shoulders looked a little bit.
His shoulders are narrow.
But I'm
not gonna lie.
It's also in
It's
comparison
only like
to.
we knew that for the last.
Yeah.
No, I
like,
know, but
five-
it's like when you see him on the field next to everybody, like
Yeah.
it stands out.
Yeah.
And I think Fred's right. I think that's why his arms are shorter.
Yeah.
Because I think he has a narrower base.
It's
than most
exacerbated though by
offensive
like
linemen.
Marcus Bryant, who is like a statue of a man, and Morgan Moses, who is also just has the ideal length. But point I was trying to make was reading his scouting report. It's nothing like, oh, what a phenomenal leader this guy. It's like takes plays off. Like if he can get in shape and pull it together, he'll be good. And there's just a reminder to me that there's gems out there. There's guys that can develop, and he arrives here as a leader. And I don't want to call him a savior, but I think some people are like, God, it's just some
He is
stability.
Moses.
Some stability,
Yeah.
I think, and that to me, like looking, didn't the Jets sign him last year to a free agent deal?
Yeah.
And it's like, man, like that would have been a move to make last year, an actual
know.
tackle.
Yeah.
Right tackle.
Zach in Connecticut, I agree with Fred about having no narrator. I think it would have been worse having someone tell us what we're seeing. I do think it did drag on the transition a little bit, but just a nitpick. Also, will the Washington joint practices be available to the public? Yes, they will.
Oh yeah, go to those
That'd be
guys.
fun.
If you are looking to go to a preseason game or do something this summer with the Patriots, come here for the Commanders joint practices.
I mean,
Yeah,
Drake versus
absolutely.
Jaden. That's
I mean,
that's a great one.
Talent.
Yeah.
You're not going to have to pay a bunch of money, and you just come free, fun for the family, and you get to watch great football, situational stuff, and the talent on I guess Terry McLaurin, though, I guess is he holding out? I heard that yesterday. So.
Good.
It's only whack-a-mole. You get it all into
Get him
place.
in a
Only
trade.
bad
Bad things can happen to other teams.
But we're not playing them, so we don't get to.
Robert writes in, after watching the feature, I wanted to suit up and hit the field. Unfortunately, I'm 56, and I'd snap in half if I tackled anyone.
would.
Great production, but as Paul referred to, I was wondering what structure was being built. While it did finally dawn on me that it was the new training center, it might have been helpful to have some text on the screen describing what it was. I vote no on a narrator.
Yeah.
I'm coming around on the narrator thing.
Well,
like maybe
I mean,
if it was just text or something
I would
like
just
that.
throw
it
a
worked,
sorry,
too.
Paul. I don't want to jump on
Go
your
ahead.
thing, but I was just going to say, like, I can see a way you could have done it where you're talking about what's the final product going to look like, and then Mike Vrabel may be saying what we want the final product to, and then compare that to what the final product at the training center. Like, there's got to be some kind of metaphor that you could kind of use in there without having
Well,
to narrate.
yeah, and I had that, like the whole thing. I had like a quick sentence, much like,
Right.
But
You got to do the Liev Schreiber voice.
I'm a little curious as to why so many people are anti-narrator, and not because it's counter to what I'm saying.
it's-
Because
yeah, it's
I mean, I have
people-
no problem. Yeah, I'm
No, don't
like,
tell
when
me.
when I watch like the football lives and those different I find the narrator to be a big part of my
Yeah, well, you have to
my
build it
watching
that
experience.
way. Yeah, you have to build it that way, and absolutely. Like, and as a matter of fact, our lead editor Nick McCain has an amazing voice.
He could do it
Yeah.
himself.
Like,
he could absolutely do it himself. He's the voice of God.
If we needed a narrator, we've got one.
I met him.
He's got it.
I shook his hand as I met him. He said hello, and I said, "Have you done voiceover work before?"
Oh, yeah. He did it for the Sixers. He would read like Christmas books and stuff like that for kids.
Yeah,
and
so we've got him. We'll figure
Yeah.
out how to get his voice in there.
Yeah.
He did a
he's
voiceover for
fantastic.
something I don't remember what internally, and it was him, but it was even more polished. Like I didn't even realize when he actually tried how good it could sound. I mean, it was like,
Yeah.
And I was telling him, I'm like, that's the best job to me in Hollywood. The best jobs are the voiceover people. They show up, they dress in sweatpants, they sit in front of a microphone for 4 hours, and then they go home. No, nobody knows who they are. They make a ton of money. That to me is the dream gig.
So I just was surprised, like, there's 2 or 3 people that said, I don't want to, the last thing I want is a narrator telling me what I'm watching. Oh, so I'd rather not know what I'm watching.
That's not what they do. That's not what they do.
Well, I was like, obviously, we're going to get compared to Hard Knocks, like for the football thing. But to me, this is more like Behind the Bee than it is Hard Knocks.
Yeah,
and
right.
and Behind the Bee is fantastic too. But they have Dennis Leary, who's a Boston guy,
As the narrator.
and that was all I think what we were kind of thinking of. But this is on track to be exactly like Behind the Bee. So
Maybe in
it's
a
cool.
shorter show.
Yeah,
Maybe
Behind
it
the
just
Bee's
helps move things along a
30.
little more, and you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
I
don't
think
need
it's
as much
23
time.
minutes in the 30-minute.
That might be why too.
Justin says the second Morgan Moses pancakes a guy, all we're going to hear is Father Fred saying, "Oh, Morgan, oh yes, you got that right." You got that right. I'll be watching the O-line.
Suddenly turns into Kramer. You got that right.
I do love
Father
how
Fred will
many
go give him
people are
last
watching
rites on the
O-line
field.
now.
That'll be
Yes.
Father Fred's.
Yeah. There you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
now everybody's watching the O-line.
So did you workop? I heard,
yeah.
listening.
There was a lot,
Did you
Paul.
just workshop this whole
We've
thing
got a
out?
lot worked out.
There's a lot.
I have
I
a
don't
long commute, Paul. So I get
So
to
that's
think a
what-
lot.
in case you didn't know.
It was good. I didn't know if that was something that someone wrote in.
I mean, and that was
or-
just part
Fred
of it.
just came
Fred,
up-
obviously, I mean, I loved it, and he was a damn good one. That was my
he was
favorite.
a company. He was a damn
Well-
good one, and he owed Chicago. He wanted to get back to Chicago.
And Claire, hello everyone, hello Maureen. Hello. She says she has an idea for Chicago Pope. The conclusion is, it turns out he's actually a long-term undercover cop to crack major crimes at the very top of the church hierarchy. And Father Fred
Third rail.
isn't actually a father and can finally bed the hot nun.
Oh, that is a good twist that he's not actually.
That was so.
Bed.
That was so
Bed.
British. It hurt.
Get to know her in the biblical sense. Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, we're so sacrilegious here.
I just turned it to an Irish.
Yeah. Well, it's Chicago
Father
Pope.
Fred. He's Megan a calling with Grandma. What was it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dan of Virginia and Michigan on podcast at Patriots.com. We all know that Fred is great at impressions, but I didn't know he could do an impression of Meg Ryan on Tuesday's show when Deuce and Evan were describing how Morgan
Yes.
Moses was holding court with Campbell, the other offensive lineman. Fred started to sound like that scene in the coffee shop when Harry met Sally. I'll have what Fred's having. I'm having Morgan.
Yes.
I was surprised, but it's good reason. I mean, I think we're all a little beaten down from the tackle struggles of the last 5 years, and we're all excited to hopefully put that to rest and maybe get that as a position of stability.
How do you like the offensive line now, Morgan? All right. 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket hotline. We're having fun here. Talking Forge and Foxborough. We're talking OTAs. We're talking just about anything. Let's go to Todd in Gardner. Hey, Todd.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Good.
Hey, Todd.
Keeps changing his
Yeah.
location.
It's been a great show. So
we answered the phone.
just
It's
taking
Gardner,
a little
North
bit
Carolina.
I don't want to say umbrage. I'm just a little bit against the whole thing that this team is going to do basically as Mac progresses. Because I think when we first got Brady,
Mac?
Brady was allowed to progress at his own pace and his own speed because the team around him could give him that comfort level of being in there and, being able to make mistakes. I think that our guy's going to gosh, I'm tired. Sorry, guys. It's been doing immigration stuff. My brain is fried.
Okay.
But Drake May is going to evolve based on the opportunities given. And with this defense and what we've got around him, I think he'll be able to make the mistakes, do the stuff that he needs to learn. Because I don't think it's all going to be on him. And I just, I've heard this a couple times, that the whole season's all based on his progression. I think there's some part to that, but I think it's too much focus just on that. What do you guys think? Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks. No, listen. I know everyone has to play their part, but it does rest a lot on his progression. And I disagree a little bit with what Todd said about Brady. The day he stepped on the field, it was hammered into him, do not turn the ball over.
Well, and-
I mean, don't make mistakes.
Yeah.
It wasn't go ahead and make mistakes, and we'll give you a long landing.
Right.
Don't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
He was largely responsible for the turnaround. I mean,
Right.
Again, there is no bigger Drew Bledsoe fan than me. When Drew played, they were 5-13. When Brady came in, it was 14-3. Like, it happened immediately. And yes, the team was good. The team around Brady was good. But what Fred just said, Brady's inability to turn the ball over. I mean, what did he go, like 4 games before he even threw a pick?
Right.
Then he threw 4 in 1 quarter in Denver. But,
Yeah.
that was largely the reason why that team was successful, was because the mistakes that Drew was making were eliminated when Brady went in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just like more recently, like Washington doesn't do what they did last year without Jaden Daniels being basically almost an MVP candidate as a rookie. Now, nobody's expecting Drake to be an MVP candidate, but the point is that unfortunately is the pressure of being the quarterback. Like that's it's on his shoulders.
And I would just say it's not. I don't think people are saying that it's all reliant on Drake May's progression, but the
Ceiling. Set the ceiling.
But if Drake May doesn't progress,
then they're going to be average at best.
Right.
And I don't care how good the team is;
Right.
they'll be average at best because you need the quarterback to get you to another level. And I also don't think, as much as I'm really happy and excited, we just talked about Forge and Foxborough and all the things that they added, whether it be in free agency or the draft. They didn't get that much better. That it's not going to matter if the quarterback isn't making a progression. It's not like they're just stacked across the board. I mean, we've seen the Jets.
This isn't Brad Johnson and the Buccaneers.
Like the Jets have had some teams the last year or two that have been pretty good in a lot of areas, but the quarterback is holding it back, and they go 5-11 or 5-12, I guess. So you can be really good, but if your quarterback play isn't at least average, you're going to be sort of fighting an uphill battle.
Randy's in Providence. What's up, Randy? Randy. Oh, come on. It hasn't been that long. All right. You're gone.
Hello?
Oh, there he is. Hey, Randy. What's going on? Turn up your internet.
Hey, sorry about that. I hit the mute button on accident. I had a couple questions for you guys. At the end of the season last season, maybe as the off season was starting, there had been a lot of talk about shortage of kind of support staff, the staff overall just being a lot smaller in New England than it is in other places. Maybe with the analytics department, but other areas also. And I didn't know if you guys knew if that staff was also being built out. Like, obviously, we hear all the coaching changes and news and stuff like that. But do you guys know if that is being addressed? And then, did you guys see the top 25 under 25 list put out by PFF?
Yes.
Top 25 under 25?
Yeah.
Top 25
Our guy
under
got
25.
snubbed.
With
Paul
the
told me about it.
qualification being
Yeah.
that
Someone's very upset on
under
the beat.
25 by week 1.
Okay.
But no Gonzalez and no May, and you
Well,
got
then-
surprised by that. And
then I
what do you feel
dismiss the
about
list.
that?
I don't. Drake May not being on there.
May doesn't belong on it.
Right. Christian Gonzalez belongs on the list.
Christian Gonzalez, I think you can make
yeah.
a strong argument for.
Yeah.
100% agree.
Yeah.
And then just last question for you guys. Someone, I think it was Alex maybe, had mentioned that Cole Strange, he thought he had bulked up a little bit, gotten a little bigger, maybe in response to the needs of Josh McDaniels on the offensive line. Did you guys notice that? And then outside the Patriots, did you guys see Marvin Harrison Jr. put on like 20 or 25 pounds of muscle?
Oh, really?
The guy looks like a defensive end now. It's ridiculous.
That's funny. I saw the video. I saw a video of.
25 pounds of muscle.
I saw-
I wonder how he did that.
Is that skinless chicken?
Oh yes, 25 pounds.
It's funny you
of
say that,
muscle.
Randy, because I saw that video and I didn't see hear it. It just came like the video, and I was like, "Geez, he looks big." So
Yeah.
David
I guess
Boston, like former Cardinals receiver.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about Cole Strange yesterday on Catch 22, and I just thought his upper body maybe looked a little bit bigger. But I'm not saying that he's like all of a sudden 340 pounds. But like I thought
I saw
maybe
that beer he drank when we
he
sent him
looked
to
a
Germany.
little bigger. I also thought Gonzo looked jacked.
So
out of his mind.
I'm glad you brought him
Thanks,
up.
Randy.
I have two guys that I thought looked noticeably bigger. One of them really positively, and one of them not so positively.
Yeah.
And Gonzalez was the one I thought. I absolutely agree with you, Ev. You know, not to go all
Yo.
Mike Dussault on you,
Yeah,
but I
thank
was
you.
like, wow, look at the size of his arms. I thought he looked
That
like he
sounds
had,
like me, to be
I
fair.
thought he had put on some bulk up top.
Yeah,
it's good.
I did
Mike
too.
Owenu, I thought looked heavy.
Yeah, me too.
Jean is a retired producer / director out of
Nice.
Ottawa, Canada.
Okay.
And he says, I think it's a he. I'm taking a leap there.
G-E-N-E?
Jean.
Oh, maybe Jean.
Jean.
Yeah.
Jean-Francois.
Yeah. Regarding the use of a narrator in your documentary, I've always much preferred having the on-camera subject tell the story and using minimally on-screen graphics to guide the viewer. Using a narrator will take away the cinema verite feel of your documentary. It will become the voice of Big Brother, telling you what they want you to know. It shifts the perspective of the message you're trying to deliver to your audience. Cinema verite is more believable, and the audience feels less manipulated.
I love it. I'm back in film school. That sounds like one of my classes.
Can I ask you, as someone who's completely ignorant to this stuff, what is the definition of cinema verite?
So I think, well, verite, truth, just realism, I would say. And I.
So you don't feel manipulated. So it's your interpretation of it and not the narrator.
So why is the narrator? First of all, it's not the narrator's interpretation; it's a script.
Well, I know, but he's telling you. Well, okay.
It's not, but it's not like telling the listener. I mean, telling the viewer that the construction that's going on behind you is actually the new training facility is not like leading the viewer
Right.
where you want him to go.
Yeah.
It's telling the facts.
Well, she's talking in general about.
But that's all I
narration.
want the narrator to do. I don't want the narrator to say, this team is a lot better than you think it is.
Yeah.
That's not what narrators do in documentaries.
Yeah.
I think Jean is maybe just saying, show don't tell. That's just an always thing that you try to do.
Yeah, no, that.
And if you get to
that
a
I'm
point
fine
where
with.
you're like, I got to tell, but I would say, for myself, if I was an editor trying to figure that out, I would be like, well, how can I tell that this is what this construction project is without having to have someone come in and be like, that's the construction project.
Well, I feel like for this one, it did the narrator maybe wasn't necessary. Maybe just graphics over some of the things that Paul has talked about.
Yeah,
but
and that's fine.
I do wonder, like when we go into the next one, when it's like more player and coach driven. You know, you kind of set it up like the Bruins are preparing for the.
I know,
the
but
game
I kind of
against the
feel
Sharks.
now that we've gone the route of no narrator, you got to stick to
Yeah,
it.
and I'm okay, if you don't want the narrator, my preference would be the narrator, but I can totally say, okay, you know, the people have spoken. Everybody is, you know, finds I just don't understand why a narrator giving you the facts is not true to life, but the scouts telling you their version of facts is true to life.
Yeah.
Isn't like the scouts' opinion of Kyle Williams the scouts' opinion? Like, how do I know that's true?
Yeah.
But I'm taking it as the word because that's what they're
Right.
telling me.
Well, maybe as a filmmaker too, you want people to take it for themselves, and not give them, try not to point arrows at things, and just let them be able to experience it themselves without letting their viewing experience be their viewing experience, without saying, I want to make sure that this is how you're viewing it the whole time. I mean, there's ways to do it both. There are some
But,
documentaries
my point is, this is how the Patriots, the 2025 Patriots, are being constructed in this way, and the story is being told by the Patriots.
Yeah.
Like, why is that true to life? That's how the Patriots are doing it. That's the Patriots' thoughts. Like, there's sort of I don't want to say an opinion, but there's sort of a viewpoint in every documentary.
Yeah.
It's not like blatant, this is the fact.
Well, documentaries are different than just pure art. 'Cause I
Right.
remember having this
That's why
discussion
I asked
back
about
in
the
my
cinema
college
verite,
days.
that,
You know, an
element of
artist
it.
presents their work to the world without explanation.
Yeah, yeah.
Let the world interpret it.
Yeah.
Don't say, and here's what and that's what a lot of artists do. They don't give you what they want to do. They let you interpret it.
Like,
but,
I can't
but
have
documentaries are different.
I can't have Liev Schreiber tell me what the building is, but I can have, what was the scout's name? That
Tucker
said
Addington?
Tucker Addington tell me that Kyle Williams was the best
Not
receiver
his
at the
name,
Senior
but
Bowl.
it's okay.
Go to Tucker what?
That's a long snapper, isn't he?
Yeah, you named the long snapper.
Right. So and I apologize. I don't know all the scouts by name. I don't. We don't ever. This is like the first time we've ever really gotten to see. Like,
Yeah, well, that's why
we
I
haven't.
brought it
We've
up.
never
Right.
been allowed to talk to them.
Tucker Ingram.
Tucker, is it Ingram?
Ingram,
Okay,
yeah.
so he can say that Kyle Williams was the best receiver in the Senior Bowl, and no one has any objection. But if Liev Schreiber says that building that we keep showing you is actually the new training facility, we object to that because we're leading the viewer in a way. Like,
Well, I mean,
why is like
I
to
think-
me?
but I think you're using-
again. It's
Yeah,
about
you're
what
using
you,
that one example.
Yeah, I think you're using a specific,
people,
like-
the narrator would not be used for that. It would be used for
No, like
other stuff.
Like I had
Mike
told
Vrabel
you, like the
gathers the
voice
team
of
for the
God
team
comes in
meeting.
and says, much like the
right.
Yeah.
the new training facility that's under construction behind Gillette Stadium.
Yeah.
Mike Vrabel and the 2025 Patriots
That's how you-
are
yeah.
a work in progress,
Yeah.
or something like that.
I totally get what you're saying, Paul, and I think
That's
at
what
the
the
end of the
narrator
day,
says.
Right.
Not like I think the Patriots are going to go 12-5 this year.
Right. And I
Like,
just
that's
think
not
at
what
the end of the
narrators
day, John has a preference of how they would like to tell things, but ultimately it's the creative choice of how you want to tell the story and how you can best tell the story. So there's no one way to do the documentaries.
Right.
Like
No.
all documentaries have to have or don't.
And that's why I would fully
Service the
take a back
story.
seat and say, hey, that's just my
Right.
preference,
and if it's
I'm
just
wrong.
like a specific fact that you want to make sure gets across, you don't want to insert a narrator in the whole documentary just because there's a certain fact that you can't think of a creative way to show what it is and what the metaphor is. So, but I mean, there are documentaries I love with narrators. There are ones that I love where it's just interviews and it unfolds slowly and you kind of take it for what it's worth. So I mean, you're totally right. It's just a preference. And
it's a preference
It's up
thing.
to the director and the
But it's
producer
not
how
like
they
a
want to
truth in
produce it.
cinema thing.
No.
Yeah. Well, like you
but-
take Ken Burns for example,
Yeah.
his baseball, which I thought was a great documentary. That could not live without a narrator.
Right.
You had to have a narrator.
I love those things with
Yeah.
they're reading the Civil War letters and that.
Yeah.
But no, that's like I said, I've done projects before where you're wondering like, can I do like my thesis film? Like, do I do new narrator or not? And this is what I'll have to do how I'll have to explain it if not. So, but I think probably what John's preference is they like that style
Yep.
of just realism unfolding
And I
before
respect-
you.
I respect that,
and
totally.
that's their
Yeah.
thing. But I don't think Hard Knocks would work. And it's certainly behind the beat. It's too hard in in 22 minutes to tell a whole story of everything that's going on without Dennis Leary. So, just what fits the project.
I just felt
he was one of my professors in college.
Dennis Leary.
Yeah.
What did
At
comedy?
Emerson. Yeah, comedy writing.
Oh.
Yes.
Did you fail?
So he could be in Father Fred. I think we could probably reach out to him.
Yeah.
At the time, he
Roll
was
for him.
trying to quit smoking. He would literally get on the desk like a bird and teach the class perched on a desk.
We remember like the MTV ads that he would
That's
do,
so
where he
funny.
would just. Be
I had a
sucking
teacher in high
cigarettes
school that smoked like a fiend and did exactly the
He
same
did
thing.
that?
He would sit on his desk, crisscross applesauce, and when the principal would walk by the hall, he would flick the cigarettes right out the window from the desk.
Well, remember that? Like, was it MTV or something? And I think you hear me, and I'm commenting, and it's just Dennis Leary sucking cigarettes
Yeah.
down like it's a
Yeah.
glass of
Oh
water.
yeah, he was trying to quit and he was like, he was on something else.
He could-
He was like, nah.
I think he might be
Fred
he
hasn't
could
been
be the
rehabbed.
bad
Yeah,
guy.
we're
He could be the
throwing shade.
antagonist in Father Fred. I mean, that's a high power actor. He's got a little edge to him.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So probably, I think he's an Irish Catholic anyway.
He
So
is,
he's ready
he
to
is.
hop right in.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and we'd have to now move it to Boston. It's not from Chicago.
True, right?
Oh, Donnie Wahlberg has another Boston Cop show coming out, by
Green
the way.
Bloods
Yeah.
or something.
Boston Blue.
Yeah. Boy, original. Spee in Fresno. What's up, Spee?
What's up? I listen to you guys talk about cinema verite and the art of narration. and whatnot, I'm just like, man, so happy Eric's not here.
Would we have a conversation?
tolerable.
You all know nothing.
That's
Can
a
you
great
imagine?
call out, Speed.
Can you imagine if Eric just heard me like sound like a moron, like about
he would
talking
be
about
so-
cinema verite? Which, by the way, I knew what the words meant.
Yeah.
I wanted to know what the application
He
was.
wants
would
someone
be
to
so
read the
looking
story
down
to
on
you.
us. Oh, so
No,
looking
it's just me.
like,
Paul doesn't get it. He needs someone to
then
read it to him.
Then again, Eric as a narrator,
yeah,
that's a possibility.
sure.
I can see it.
Yeah,
got good
absolutely.
It'd be awful. It'd be awful.
To the best of his
it
abilities.
might be worth hearing.
I've
Yeah.
often pondered
We're
the
excited
construction
to go
Yeah.
of my best of
that takes
abilities.
place in this world.
You just walked over Eric. He just, yeah.
Can I ask a football
I never
thing?
had.
Yeah.
No football today.
No football. So with May, you're hoping he follows generally the Josh Allen pattern. You're overcoming some early accuracy or physical issues in the passing game, but he's being asked to do that at the same time where you got Josh McDaniels, relatively complicated offense coming in. And, Josh Allen had Brian Dable for years from the start, and I'm very happy that Josh McDaniels is coaching Drake, but it seems like it's already challenging enough to try and do the sort of Josh Allen thing where you more or less fix your accuracy, and now you're asking Drake to do something like that while onboarding what we're
It's the
always
same
told is a
offense.
pretty complicated playbook.
It's the same offense.
Yeah, see, honestly, I don't know what they're telling Drake to do. Are they unloading all this stuff and making it too complex right now? I don't know that.
Well, but it's the same offense. Brian Dable.
But
is running
how
the
are they
same offense.
presenting it? At what?
Sure,
how
but-
much of the playbook are they into at this point?
But Josh Allen was running the same offense in Buffalo
Yeah.
under Dable that the Patriots are running now.
yeah.
So, I mean, Brady's talked about it that he knows Josh Allen's calls because it's the same calls
Yeah.
that he would use.
Be good to ask Diggs about it.
You could ask Diggs about it.
Yeah.
So you don't think that this is more of a challenge to Drake now with the change in the offensive coordinator?
I don't know.
Oh no, I
Could
made
be.
that point earlier, but
Yeah.
I'm just making the point that if we're comparing to Josh Allen, they're running now they're in the same system. Like this Dable system and McDaniel's offense are the same offense. So if
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Thanks, B.
It's a challenge
good call
for Drake.
out though about
Yeah,
Eric.
that was good. But it's a challenge
Tremendous.
to Drake. Like you have to acknowledge it. It's a lot on him this year, and it's a tough challenge, no question.
Noah in Toronto says Einstein said the definition of genius is taking the complex and making it simple.
Mm-hmm.
I worry that McDaniels is making the simple run fast, throw hard, complex for Drake.
See, I don't. I just everything that he said again, and this goes back to just plopping the 2019 playbook and being like, "Good luck." Like I think Josh understands that he has to teach Drake this bit by bit and learning little piece at a time. And even though it's a little bumpy along the way, he's not gonna. I mean, these guys are teachers. This is what they spend all their time. How can I get my guys to learn the playbook?
Coaching is teaching.
It's huge. Like
Yeah.
that is everything to them.
So
right now.
I think that's in question. I think the playbook is not going to be 2019. Like it's not going to be. Fred used to use this all the time. Like Tom Brady is like advanced level calculus.
right.
Like it's not going to start where Tom Brady ended.
Mm-hmm.
But the very basics of the Josh McDaniel offense requires a certain aptitude on the part of the quarterback. And it's not, this goes back to the Earhart system that Charlie Weiss brought in and all that stuff. And Brady had a very easy transition to it. He took to it very easily. Not every quarterback will.
Yeah.
I don't have any idea how Drake May will.
Right.
I'm not talking about the level of sophistication that the offense wound up, but the base part of it, I think, is a little bit more complicated than most offenses. And I don't know how that's going to.
So,
I
Evan,
worry about putting on the quarterback everything pre-snap.
Yeah,
Like,
Evan, do you know at UNC if any of his years that he was making the calls as opposed to the center?
His last year, they put more on his plate in terms of making protection calls and things like that. Was it 100%? I don't know the answer to that, but his coaches told me that they were making a lot of the call. He was making a lot of the calls and doing a lot of that kind of stuff. They ran much more. His first year as a starter under Phil Longo was in a college style air raid, like it was a true college offense. Then when they brought in Longo's replacement, I'm blanking on his name right now. When they brought him in, it became more pro style. So it became more of what you run in the NFL, and the quarterback had more responsibility.
Was that Christensen?
Clyde Christensen was an assistant on the staff. Yep. And so they did more of that kind of stuff at North Carolina. And then last year, obviously, it was the center that was making all the calls in Alex Van Pelt's offense. So that's what I worry about a little bit. I'm not saying I'm panicked about it, but it's just right now, that's something that I'm watching. I'm watching for, because I know Drake May is a fantastic thrower of the football. I know he's a great athlete. I know he's got all the physical tools in the world to be a franchise quarterback. I don't know if he's a director. I don't know if he's one of those guys that is comfortable getting to the line of scrimmage, sniffing things out, moving protections, reconfiguring formations, getting guys lined up in the right places is the easiest way to say it. I don't know if he's that.
Yeah.
I don't, Brady was that. Peyton Manning was that. I don't know if that's his superpower. His superpower might just be the raw tools, whereas with Brady, his superpower was his brain. And so we'll find out.
Right.
We'll see.
I think you put that out great. I mean, that's everything you said. I totally agree with. And I just wonder if people feel like, well, Drake May could be an elite quarterback, but not with this offense, not with too much on him. Is that?
I get your point. Yeah. If he can't think to a level that you need to, he can't be an elite quarterback. I don't think that you can just be so physically gifted that it doesn't matter if you're reading anything or making these kinds of pre-snap decisions that Evan's talking about. You don't have to be Tom Brady, but you can't not have an ability to do it. And I've seen no indications that Drake May doesn't have the ability to do it. We saw him as the year went on last year. How many times is he directing people?
Well, they were lining up in wrong places.
Your guy.
Which one?
Kendrick Bourne.
Look at my guy.
My bad.
Oh, my
bad.
I got that.
How many times was he changing? You're in this. You're supposed to be over there. You're in the slot. You're supposed to be out wide. I think he has an aptitude for the position.
And I'm not worried about post snap. I think he reads coverage well. I think he sees rotation well. All that kind of stuff, I'm not concerned about. It just the pre-snaps that we just haven't seen him do it at this level, because he wasn't necessarily doing it to this level last year. So it's just an unknown
All fair
of whether
questions.
or not.
Yeah. David's out in New Mexico. Love the show, he says. With all the talk about McDaniel's offense impacting May, the receivers and the running backs, how does the new offense change how the offensive line blocks? And to Paul, sauce or gravy?
Gravy.
It's not gravy. Anyway, how does it affect the offensive line?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about scheme and the actual blocks are being asked to execute versus the verbiage of the offense, those are two different things. But from a verbiage perspective, I've heard that this offense is actually easier in a lot of ways from a protection standpoint than other offenses because they use numbers, and the numbers coincide with how many blockers you have in the protection. So you do 50s, 60s, 70s protections, 5, 6, 7 man protects. So that way when they say, they'll read out the play and then they'll have a number to the protection. That's giving the protection scheme. It tells you within the number how many guys are in the protection, and it kind of puts it into a family of protection. So I've heard that is a strength of this system, that it works that way. And the only thing really from a protection standpoint that is a little challenging is blitz pickup from a running back, because they're dual reading. So most of the time they are reading off of two guys, and you have to make a decision post snap based off of who's coming and who's dropping and things like that.
So quick little aside, totally off topic of but we did. No Socks and I sat down with Craig James today to record one of our latest installment of Pats from the Past. And one of the things he talked about, Patriots fans might not remember, but Craig James came from SMU under Ron Meyer, and he was part of the Pony Express backfield. But that was the introduction of Dante Scarnecchia to the Patriots. When Ron Meyer came from SMU to become head coach of the Patriots, he took along with him Dante Scarnecchia. And one of the things that he talked about, Ev, was how confusing, Craig James talked about how confusing pass protection was for the running backs. They had a lot of if-thens. Was the way he explained it, and Dante completely streamlined it all and made it so simple.
That's
it so simple.
That's the indicator of genius.
And that was that was one of the things. That was one of the takeaways from our talk. We'll have that out probably.
That's great.
Soon, but just interesting to. I mean, most of our Pats from the past are more recent, and part of the dynasty years. This was a little bit of a way back machine. It was great. He was great to talk
And
to.
Mike, you're working on something.
Well, I've been on 1985 like crazy. I mean, I'm at least going to write an article for the Game Day magazine. I don't know. We'll see if I do anything else with it. But talked to Craig James today, who was my favorite player growing up. So it was pretty cool to finally meet him. I picked 32 in high school. And I told you guys, but just for the listeners, cool moment. After you guys did the interview, I was walking him out. The Patriots were walking out for practice, and Travion Henderson came wearing 32, and Craig James just went up to him and was like, "Hey, man, I wore number 32, Craig James, in the 80s." And Travion Henderson was like really cool. I'm so mad at myself for not
This would be
whipping
great.
up my
This would be
phone.
great on Twitter. You got. Oh wait, no, we can't.
I know. I would say it happens so fast, but it's just really cool moment. Cool
I
to
think
see.
we need body cameras.
Right.
Yes.
Well, did you have your body camera on?
Yeah, right.
No, I didn't. But he said hello to Vrabel as well, and I talked to Raymond Claiborne, outstanding cornerback as well. So yeah, it's just fun for me going back to those games. I watched a lot of the TV copy, and it's crazy because there's no first down marker. They barely show the clock. They barely show the scoreboard. So half the time you're watching, you're like, I don't know how much time.
Do you know
is
what they
left.
had back then?
Yeah.
When you watched the games, you had what they used to call the 10-minute ticker. And every 10 minutes, they will put the scores up from out of town.
Yeah.
You had to wait.
You had to wait 10 minutes.
We'll find out.
Whenever they show, like, you watch, like, the 1986 NBA Finals or something like that, they don't leave the scoreboard.
I know. It's so
and,
right?
and it will literally be, like, 103-102 with 5 seconds to go in the game, like the biggest play of the season.
Well, they put the little square with the clock, but you wouldn't get the score.
Yeah, and I'm like,
the
wait,
scoreboard
what's
button
the
was not.
score?
Forget about the 24-second clock.
Yeah,
you have no idea.
But you know who brought in the bug, right? The score, Fox.
Really? No.
In whatever 90.
Yeah.
Was that right?
90.
They were the first.
When they started doing
94, maybe when they started doing games, they're the ones that brought the score. Yes.
Unbelievable.
It kind of ties into our narrator
How did you
conversation.
guys even know what was going on?
You need someone always telling you what the score is.
Because we watched the games.
We seem to survive.
We actually watched the games, so we knew what the score was.
It's just, you just don't realize watching games. I mean, we watch a lot of games live now, but how omnipresent the scoreboard and the first down marker, and you take it for granted that you always can just glance.
It's jarring when you don't see it.
All of a sudden, you're like, wait, what's the score? You lose track.
Tyler and Ludlow, I have no worries about McDaniels coaching up May, as he was the coordinator when Jimmy G had to start for Brady, and we know that he was very effective. I would expect that McDaniels has learned from mistakes and will be surprised if he makes the playbook too complicated for May.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're getting away from the playbook being too complicated for him, and it's more executing the scheme, if that makes sense. I think that's where we're
kind
of
of
headed.
the most basic, easiest play. If it's hard for the quarterback to run it, it's not about a complicated playbook. It's about running the offense the way he wants it run.
I'm also not concerned about it the way the emailer phrased it. My whole thing is, I wish that they were starting from a higher starting point, right? Like now, instead of hitting the ground running in OTAs and training camp and stuff like that, they're still learning.
Yeah, so you wish McDaniels was here last year.
Right. Yeah, like, so now does it stand to reason that it's really going to take 2 years to get it fully operational, right? Like and I know that's way down the line. I'm not saying that I'm
It's like
concerned
we're
about
building
that
the
today.
Death Stars at operation.
But why does it always have to get back to a geeky level for you?
No,
Because we're geek. I'm a geek.
He's
And
100% right.
You can't say the word operational.
Is this thing operational?
But the flip side of that would be, again, with my shows, is sort of contending. So I agree. The best case scenario would have been to have what Evan said, and maybe this be year 2 of him learning this offense. Yeah. But if not, my shows would say that's why they would prefer not to have McDaniels, but maybe another like McVay or Shanahan, West Coast kind of a guy to come in. And even though it's not the same as Alex Van Pelt, it's kind of in that family, less new to learn. That's why the people. It's not because Josh McDaniels is incompetent as an offensive coordinator. To the contrary, he's been a great offensive coordinator. But people just wonder if there's so much new, is that stunting the development?
Jack in Inaba says Einstein actually said, everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. The point is to simplify, but not oversimplify. Some difficult endeavors like quarterbacking a pro football team can be simplified only so much.
I don't want to simplify. Like, I think we're losing the plot a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, all I'm saying is that if it takes, like last year, where it was 2 weeks into training camp before it really, you saw the light bulb kind of go on for Drake May and click. Well, that's 2 weeks that they could have been adding other things in and getting really humming. If that's the path that we take this time because of the changes in coaching, then you're not behind the 8 ball, but you're not as ahead as I would like it to be. But that doesn't mean that I want Josh McDaniels to take his offense and strip it down to Pee-wee football. Like it might be a little bit of a slower burn than what you would have liked.
Well, what would you guys say? This is a question I'm asking myself. Is what would you guys say are the benefits if Drake May is able to get this offense down, understand how to execute it? What are the benefits of this offense getting to that point versus maybe last year's offense if he got to Masters level?
Doesn't it put more stress on the defense? I mean, that type of offense.
It's very multiple. So you can, the one thing that he'll have is answers to tests where you're never going to get caught with your pants down if you run this offense correctly. You're never going to be in a situation where there's a blitz coming and you have no answer to it.
Well, there's an answer to everything the defense is doing.
Right. Right. So if they're bringing pressure, either there's a built-in hot or there's a way to move the protection or whatever the case may be that has answers, whereas at times last year and even 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they're snapping the ball into, as Brady would like to say, bad defenses, right? The play isn't
in order for it to work, you have to recognize. Because if you don't recognize correctly, then your answer is wrong.
You best recognize.
You better recognize.
But if we're going to be wrong, then be wrong together.
But
all 11 wrong.
Just to throw this at you, though, if you were coaching a team, wouldn't this be ideal for you that you would want that to be? I mean, I know it's hard to do, but in a perfect situation, you would want your quarterback to go out there and be able to do that, right?
Yeah. So and the same thing with the receivers. There's always a lot of discussion about this offense and how it goes to receivers, but to me, it's common sense with the receivers. If their options are adjusted or option routed based off of the coverage, instead of running into the defender, we're going to run away from the defender, right? It should more or less be common sense.
You're
no
right.
offense.
You should get into scouting.
But they used to talk a lot about Moss would run a post, right? And he'd be like, well, I'm running the post right into the post safety. So why am I doing that, right? And so then they started to build. Okay, you can now break to the corner if you see the post, right? And so then he was like, all right, well, do that. Or we're going to run a deep over. So you're going to cross the face of the post safety instead of going right into the post safety. All that stuff to me is kind of common sense. Why would you run a route directly into somebody when you could run the route into an open space?
Yeah. It's just hard to execute when you're on the field and guys are trying to kill you. And
it's timing and all that stuff too.
Yep.
Sean in Petaluma, California. Guys, he says.
Yeah.
Lan Larison. Dude was an absolute baller out here at UC Davis. He can run through the tackles, pass pro, catch out of a backfield. I'm a proud UC Davis football season ticket holder, kind of like Paul in Northeastern.
Absolutely. I was thinking the same thing.
And watching him up close the past couple of years made me think of, sexy Rexy Burkhead.
Yeah, definitely a little Rex Burkhead vibe to him.
By the way, did I see James Devlin at practice 2 days ago?
You did.
NFLPA.
Yeah.
Yep.
You did. Paul Pasqualoni also, former Syracuse head coach.
That's right. And UConn, right? Wasn't he? Didn't he coach at UConn?
He may have.
I think he did. I think he might have.
Well,
He may have.
No way to find out.
Yeah, those two
if
guys.
only there was a way.
Rex Burkhead, or Lan Larison and Rex Burkhead, and now he's wearing 34, just like Rex Burkhead. And then Efton Chisholm, I feel like, is just the slot version of that.
So I'm going to ask you which one of those two guys, because
just pick one, because I can't do both of them.
Why can't we take both of them?
I'm not doing either of those two guys.
What do you mean?
But I've been inundated with questions about those two players. One of them has been called McCaffrey.
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
D2 McCaffrey.
He was that was his nickname in college, was the D2 McCaffrey. Yeah.
So these two guys. I'm going to leave it to you guys from now until the end of training camp. You guys can have all the fun you want.
Why they can't keep both? You're saying? You only
No, I was just saying talk about. That was all. Just talk about.
I mean, I could talk about both.
I would say
I was like, I'm only talking about one of them.
No, I'm not talking about either one of them. On the surface, I would say the running back would have a better shot.
Just the numbers.
Yeah.
Because of the numbers. Now,
Chisholm's a little redundant to
the wide receiver part, to me, that would be interesting is if they decide some of the guys that we've quote unquote said, well, you should be here. Someone isn't here. Even like a Mac Hollins, like a free. It's not unprecedented that a free agent. We had a member. Mike and I had a member of the media. I'm not going to say who it was. Said
that's rare.
He said, book it. surprise cut Matt Collins to us the other day.
Very negative member of the media.
Yes. So I'm not saying that. I don't think that will happen. I think that they like Matt Collins. But if something unforeseen like that happens, because this kid is really pushing at, on the practice field, by all means.
Hard to tell. I mean, he's quick and definitely stood out for his quickness. But I feel like it's kind of Pop Douglas. And, I mean, maybe if Pop Douglas got hurt and you felt like you needed a slot, I just like gambling on size a little more. It's hard. It's really hard to know. It makes you wonder, or makes you understand why maybe Edelman, Welker, it took them a little while to find their stride, because those guys, they're not physically imposing. You really have to see it consistently to believe that they can do it consistently.
There's just such a translatable skill set with Chisholm into the McDaniels offense, because we've seen it so many times before. And I think the one thing he has maybe on Pop's definitely a better athlete, definitely more explosive and things like that, but he's got that feel of like how to get open.
That's
especially
a great point.
Against zone coverage. Like he's got that sort of knack for where are the soft spots and where to settle and how to make himself open and things like that over the middle of the field. Where I think Pop Douglas is really good against man coverage, but he still doesn't have that sixth sense with the quarterback. I think Chisholm might have that.
Yeah, interesting.
So,
that's a really interesting point. Something I hadn't really considered, but I think you're really right. And that could be a place where one guy maybe just has a little better feel for the game than
Peter in Ottawa. Peter from Ottawa in Florida. I've been meaning to send this email for a while. I used to think that Fred was the person who was essential to the podcast, but over the years, I've since discovered it's Paul. When he isn't there is absolutely no pushback. What? If we can get Evan more jaded, he has some potential, but without Paul and his pushback, the show's become dull. In other words, we need the negative Nancy.
Pushback. He didn't say anything about negative. He said pushback.
Okay. No, that's all right. All right.
I think Fred
agree to disagree.
I think you all make me think sometimes about if I'm actually right about things.
Well, thank you.
Fred makes me think, in all seriousness, he makes me think of things in way different ways than I think of them.
Yeah.
And sometimes I make fun of him for it, and we end up arguing with one of our semantics arguments. And sometimes I'm like, I never thought of it that way. Yeah. And I'm better for it. But you always think of it in different ways.
Wow.
Yeah. Don't you think?
Sometimes, because I'm an idiot. But,
I didn't say that.
No, I said it.
I was going to say, how did you interpret what I just said as me calling you an idiot?
I think of things a different way sometimes because I'm an oddball.
But it's like when you used to have the joke about the press conferences. Sometimes I go between the lines.
Right.
You got to get into the lane. And you do. You look at things differently sometimes.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was thinking about it because I didn't know you during the dynasty when they were winning Super Bowls.
Oh, he still didn't.
So I've only been on a show with you when they've kind of been bad. So you've been right way too much about all of this stuff that's unfolded over the last couple of years. So I don't even know what the old
I would say it's been a complete 180. Like the height of the dynasty, and Fred will admit this. Like I never ever thought they were going to lose.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
I would declare games over in the first quarter. Like that's over. It's like they. Once Brady can throw it into the winds as well. This game's over. Like literally, I was as obnoxious a Patriots fan as you could get.
We need that Paul.
I just want to know what it's like.
No. We don't need that Paul back. We need that team back.
Yeah.
But I'll be obnoxious and tell you they're going to win every game if I think they're going to win every game.
I mean, it just would have been fun though to see like you poo-pooing a guy, and instead of it being like, "Damn, Paul was right," to be like, "The guy's actually awesome." I don't know, but you've been like right on all this stuff.
Chisholm, I mean,
like Matt Jones. I'm like, I don't know, Paul. He's going to be okay. Don't worry. You're like, I don't know.
Like,
all right.
Like, I'm not going to lie. My first impression of Kyle Williams the other day, he runs a go route against Alex Austin and got covered like a blanket. I didn't like that. That was my first thing. First thing that I saw. Didn't like it.
I thought he got open.
I was sitting next to you. Well, I was going to say that in Kyle Williams' defense, was long speed his thing or was like off the line?
No, it's off the line stuff.
He ran a nice over on, I believe, Craig Woodson near the sideline for a nice
that was a good play.
Throw and catch on that play. I'll give you a little bit of both.
Josh in Atlanta says, God, I love PU.
I think it was.
Evan talks about the Celtics for 5 minutes during a playoff run and gets lambasted by the fake Patriots fans who don't care about Boston sports. Meanwhile, Paul can manufacture a narrator argument with multiple Liev Schreiber name drops and no one bats an eye.
Liev.
Leah.
Thank you.
Evan, keep talking C's. The real
Thank you.
New Englanders appreciate it. And if Paul likes narrating so much, let's have him do it for episode 2.
Thank you.
Oh no! We already told you who the narrator is.
Nice.
The producer is the narrator, Nick.
Right. Yeah.
I appreciate
He
that.
didn't come from the other side of the field on that play? No. Okay, Evan has informed me that the play that I was giving Kyle Williams props for was just a regular out. I could have sworn he was in the slot on the right side of the
going
field
over.
and caught it on the left
It was a
sideline.
nice
But
little smash concept, hitch, corner.
okay, see?
Smash.
Cover 2, little pump,
I know smash.
throw it in the hole.
A little pushback from Evan.
Yeah.
Evan's here to give pushback.
Knoweth of the ball.
Ball
Knower of
knower.
the ball.
Ball knower.
On occasion.
Oh, I got to get that T-shirt printed. I already did it.
You have a ball knower
You taking a
t-shirt?
break? Did you get food today?
I did,
It's raining.
but it's not here yet. So
I think the UNC
The
women's
North Carolina
lacrosse team
lacrosse
intercepted
team, yeah.
it and
Yeah.
was like,
Speaking of that,
you sent our school into chaos, you bastards.
Doug in New Mexico
know
writes
Jordan
in. He says, first time, long time, Fred, you always used to say Paul's food is here, but you don't anymore. What happened? Did you hurt his feelings, or is Paul so svelte now that you're no longer body shaming him? Yeah, Paul doesn't eat anymore. He's on a starvation diet until the Patriots win a
No,
Super
it's
Bowl.
powder.
Fred's food is here now every day.
He said, Forge and Foxborough is fantastic. Love the job. All involved. LFG, thanks for the show. Thanks for the great content and hilarity. Good.
It's been a good show. It's been fun. It's gone by
I know,
fast
but I'm
today.
losing steam if I don't get
You are?
food soon. Yeah.
All that pizza time.
Jess in New York City writes in. We got some phone calls too I'll get to. Media footage and press headlines could be used in lieu of a narrator or type on screen to explain things like Vrabel's hiring or the construction of the football facility. For example, 10 seconds from the NFL Network doing a breaking news Mike Vrabel heading back to New England story, or showing a few seconds of a press release with a Patriots break ground on football facility headline and picture of the Crafts holding shovels. I'm not sure what that's called, but I've definitely seen documentaries use quick clips of media coverage.
We've
to
actually
inform
done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cover, that's exactly what they did for Vrabel.
Yeah, we had
I
that.
believe it was Adam Schefter.
Yeah, we used a lot of Eisen, Rich Eisen. Yep.
Yeah.
I can't see. Let's see. Kendall in North Carolina. What's up, Kendall? Kendall.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. I'm coming up September the 29th from North Carolina for the Panthers Patriots. I think that's the game.
Okay.
And I'm coming. I wanted to know what are some good eating areas close to the stadium and some good hotels or Airbnb.
Sure.
Well, it depends on what you want to eat. I mean, there's a lot of good eats around here.
Where are you planning on staying?
Yeah.
Like in Providence or in Boston?
Well,
Or in Foxborough.
The closer we can get to the stadium.
Oh, okay.
Well, I would say, there's two hotels right on property.
Yeah.
There's the Renaissance and the Hilton Garden Inn, but they usually get booked up quick.
And if
they're
you do that, I would
expensive.
go to Davios.
Yeah, they're expensive.
Can you repeat that? I'm writing this down. Can you repeat
It's
that?
the Renaissance at Patriot Place, and then there's the Hilton Garden Inn here at Patriot Place. But they tend to be a little
There's
pricey.
also the Home to Suites down the street,
Yeah,
which
the-
isn't bad also.
But there's a Holiday Inn in Mansfield, which is actually a real nice Holiday Inn,
Yeah.
which is close by too.
Okay.
Yeah.
How far is Boston from Foxborough?
45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
About 45 minutes to. Okay. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
Little travel agency going
Thanks,
on here.
Kendall.
I make
and
that
if you-
commute often.
Tell
if
him
you
Fred sent you.
if you end up staying in the Foxborough area, then there's plenty of restaurants right here at Patriot Place that
Oh, yeah.
you know.
If you want Italian, Luciano's is right down the street.
Yep.
That's
Luciano's is
James loves that
excellent.
place.
There's also a barbecue place that's looks like about to
Looks
open.
like
We
it's-
saw the smoke like the Pope.
Knocking on the door.
It is. There's
I'm
some
excited
dry
for
run
that place.
Blondies.
Me too.
I'm
Yeah.
ready.
Blondie's barbecue.
I hope it's good. We,
I hope it's
we
good.
really need good barbecue.
I mean, it looks legit. I mean, they got the big smokers out there. They've been building it for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. The proof is in the ribs. All right. We'll take a break because my food just arrived. Not Paul's. And we'll be right back after this. Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
With FedEx One Rate, you can ship to your student for a simple, predictable flat rate. Send a box full of home-baked treats that say, "Your father and I miss you." Or send a box full of instant noodles that says, "Your father and I would like you to stop asking us for money." Either way, one rate fits all. FedEx One Rate. 2-day shipping, one flat rate. Starting at $14.50. Visit FedEx.com/OneRate for details. Exclusions apply.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PU Extras. Matisse Bauman here with Chris Cassie. Just us two. We're matching. Been a while, but we're back on the...
I went for the how we doing there. You see that? I just went for that.
It's the Madden Sim.
It's all right. You're right. You're right. Oh, PU Extras.
I like your fit, though.
You know?
There we go.
You too. You're looking pretty good.
Guys, send all your leftover emails to podcast@patriots.com. If they don't get read on the show, we'll read them here. So, Chris, let's get into it.
Sure.
Forged in Foxborough. Hi, all. I just want to say how much I enjoyed the first episode of Forged in Foxborough. Congrats to executive producer Fred Kirsch and on-screen stars Deuce and Paul. I mean, it was unbelievable.
It was some absolute. You know the meme, like the absolute cinema.
Yep.
I think you can kind of give one of those. It was really well put together. I mean, whole squad did a great job on it. You know, everybody kind of came together, and it was a heavy lift, but it's an awesome video.
I mean, Chris, like
docuseries.
You know, just behind the scenes, like a lot happened in the last season.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we had it before with the previous administration, and we go straight into this, but like cameras are rolling the whole time. We were able to capture that and bring it all the way up, and we got another episode coming.
Right, and it gives you that like authentic feel to it, and it's like it's coming completely from us, and it just is. It's just awesome what we've been able to capture.
If you're a Pats fan, there's no reason not to like it. All right, that was from Dano. Thursday's show. Greetings. So I was driving home from the office listening to Thursday's show, and once I got on the freeway, just as Alex and Deuce were making their simultaneous raw dogging comment, I was looking at the car, stopped on the side of the road, and accidentally gazed upon two men relieving themselves, not Paul style, on the side of the road. I actually rewound, or whatever the current term is for it, the podcast, thinking my brain had just made me hear them incorrectly based on what my eyes were seeing. Nope, I heard what I heard. I saw what I saw. I laughed out loud. PU rarely disappoints. Cheers. C. I mean,
I don't know what to say to that.
You gotta go.
Yeah, I guess. Gotta let it happen.
Yeah. All right. Fred and Paul, please teach the youngsters. Some manners. Normally, I only listen to the replay of podcasts on my drive home. Today, I was working from home and watched the podcast live for the first time.
There you go.
Please teach the youngsters to put their phones down, and pay attention to the conversation. Rude. Additionally, Evan, stop with the faces when someone disagrees with you with your point of view. I'll be glad to send money for the movie ticket for the youngsters to see Jaws. Just let me know when and where to send the money. Evan, the original Star Wars was the best, just like the first Super Bowl was the best. Old school. Okay,
I'm actually against the Star Wars take. I think making fun of Evan's facial expressions is one of the funniest things I've heard in a while.
Yeah.
Because he's
a sourpuss.
He is. he loves to he gives his opinion. If someone says no, he's like, no, well, I disagree.
Yeah. Agree to disagree. Phones down. Phones are always down.
They are down.
We're down.
Come on.
Phones are down. If you look at the Madden sim, the phone's not there.
Oh, never.
Yeah,
we're taking it all in.
We'll take that's for Alex and Evan, I guess.
Yeah.
And then with Jaws, that's all Alex. She needs to see that.
Yeah. So the fact that she hasn't yet is crazy.
Old school. We'll tell you where to send the money, but she needs to watch it this year. Like it's almost Cape Cod Martha's Vineyard season.
Oh, for sure.
So, all right, last one. What I've learned this offseason. I got a list here. Okay. This is from David in DC.
Okay, Dave.
I've learned so much from you all this offseason. 1, Fred goes over the top rather than through the door. 2, Paul is a hot sister. 3, Mike likes the Celtics as much as he likes Tom Brady. 4, Alex likes dudes in backwards caps. 5, Evan, ... He still thinks he knows everything, ... about football, ... and probably does, ... but very little about anything else. Damn, roasted. Wow. 6, I miss Andy's advice about swamp ass. 7, it took a year, but the silos finally came down, and there appears to be some collaboration. 8, the Pope has a degree in mathematics. He not only knows sin, he knows cosine. There you go.
That's exciting.
I like that.
That was a hefty email.
Yeah. Is Paul's sister hot?
Yeah. What about that one?
What?
I had questions there.
I guess we'll ask Paul.
And Evan really doesn't know anything about ball either. Is he like lying to us?
Is Evan a fraud?
Is Evan interesting?
He might be, but you can find out on the next episode of the PU Extras. Guys, once again, thanks for sending in the emails. If they don't get read on the show, we'll read them here. Let's get back to Patriots Unfiltered.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
With FedEx One Rate, you can ship to your student for a simple, predictable flat rate. Send a box full of home-baked treats that say, "Your father and I miss you." Or send a box full of instant noodles that says, "Your father and I would like you to stop asking us for money." Either way, one rate fits all. FedEx One Rate. 2-day shipping, one flat rate. Starting at $14.50. Visit FedEx.com/OneRate for details. Exclusions apply.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
With FedEx One Rate, you can ship to your student for a simple, predictable flat rate. Send a box full of home-baked treats that say, "Your father and I miss you." Or send a box full of instant noodles that says, "Your father and I would like you to stop asking us for money." Either way, one rate fits all. FedEx One Rate. 2-day shipping, one flat rate. Starting at $14.50. Visit FedEx.com/OneRate for details. Exclusions apply.
And now, great moments in history.
Back in the day when Eric was still a meat eater,
right?
We went to Arthur's and he wanted to get a steak well done, and I objected.
He did.
Right.
I objected.
He voiced an opposition.
And that's ridiculous.
Yes.
Told the server, said, "Don't you dare.
Yeah.
Don't you dare bring him a cooked steak."
About 5 minutes later.
He doesn't need a good cut, is what I'm saying. You don't need to waste the money on someone who's going to have it well done.
Just give him a hoof. It's a waste of money because you don't like it cooked that way.
It'll taste the same, is what I'm saying. He won't even know the difference.
Of course you know the difference between cuts of meat.
Not when you do it well done. Not when you cook it well done.
Just give him a hoof.
It loses all its flavor.
A wing.
It loses all its flavor. All you taste is the charbroil.
It's a sin, Ma.
That's another great moment from
So it's your fault, Fred.
What's my fault?
When I went to Indy and everyone's like, "You got to get your prime rib medium rare," like Bradley did, and then I was not in a good place at the combine for about 2 days. But I think I have it in my head of like, if you're gonna get a good steak, you got to get it medium rare, right?
At the most medium.
Yeah,
At the most medium.
most medium. That's usually it, but not prime rib. That was
Hamburger's different. Hamburger's different because you've broken the membrane seal.
Yeah, right.
So a hamburger, you actually had no less than medium. I actually, when I go to a restaurant, if I order a hamburger, it's medium well, because I want that burger cooked, because bacteria gets in into ground beef, but steak has that membrane still on it, so you can order it medium rare.
I'm with Fred on the steak. If you go to like a nice steakhouse and you're ordering medium well, I don't respect you.
Oh,
do better.
Like, don't bother.
Right.
I like the
what are you
burger
doing?
thing though. That's good.
The burger is good
file
info.
that away. That's good info.
Yeah, don't
Membranes.
bother.
Yeah.
You break down the membrane in the meat
Yeah, I'm
grinder.
lockstep
Don't worry
with
about
Fred
it.
on this. As we've had this discussion many times in the past.
Like when we go to the Elmo's in Indy, if I see somebody order medium well, I'm like,
Yeah.
Why don't you just go home?
You don't know from steak.
Yeah, you know,
It's not going to be me anymore, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, just stick to the.
Are you a medium well guy, Mike?
No, I was a medium rare guy once and never again.
Just for the record, everybody at that table said to Deuce, "Hey Deuce, that looks a little rare.
Yeah.
Like maybe you should send it back." And you, no, it's
Oh,
fine.
was it red?
It's fine.
Yeah,
but it was a
I don't like it.
dim
Like some
restaurant.
people like their steak like raw.
Yeah.
Like,
My
like,
brother-in-law.
they'll order it rare.
Yeah.
That's too much for
That's
me.
what I got.
Yeah, Deuce's was rare.
I didn't order the
Pink is
Pink, not red.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I ordered the medium rare, but I didn't order the 2 days on the toilet afterwards. So
Yeah, you have steak tartare.
right.
James Pettigrew, the most interesting Patriots fan in the world, writes in, how much was the motivation to make the doc an appeasement to fans? Seems like the old Bill way of communicating only works when winning Super Bowls. Also, how is the new environment for you guys? Does it make the job easier, or is there now more to do? Eric would have hated this much activity in the offseason. That's true. Appeasement to fans? I don't know. I think we were offered the opportunity and we took it.
Yeah, I think it's circumstantial. I think that there are different coaches that have come in the last 2 years that had a different sort of mindset when it came to content and social media and all that stuff. And I think Bill was obviously set in his ways and didn't really embrace much of that, whereas Gerard last year, and I would say even more so Mike this year, have been a little bit more open to doing that.
Yeah.
I think that was really the sole impetus. I don't think it was. I mean, we're always looking to do stuff that we think is going to be appealing to the fans.
100%.
The fans.
Yeah.
Well, it's a different.
I
It's a
just don't
different
like the word
type of
appeasement,
pressure. Like
right.
before, like you had pressure to come up with content because you weren't given the access, so you had to do other things. Now you get the access, and now there's a pressure. We better do good with it, or they're going to take it away.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a lot of the most high-performing content around the league that other teams do. I know the Philadelphia Eagles, they put out videos like this.
We're not
They do Hard Knock
reinventing the
thing.
wheel here.
But
yeah.
I don't know. The appeasement word bugs me because to me, it's like I want to entertain the fans. You
Yeah,
know? Like that's what
exactly.
the motivation is: entertainment and showing behind the scenes. This is the response. This is what fans eat up.
Our goal is always to bring the fans closer to the team. Now we have more ways to do it.
Yeah.
Which is good. Quig says, hopefully it's a long-term series. Any chance of doing a deep dive into the scouting department? I was fascinated with that aspect of the first episode. I think following the scouts as they attend games without telling us who they're looking at, but seeing the scouting process through their eyes.
Okay, so I would just say this is, the appeasement word sort of got under your skin a little bit, Mike.
Yeah.
One of the things that gets under my skin a little bit is like, how about we do this, this, and this, and generally they're things that we've done. Like we have a series that we've done for, 10 years. Like do your job.
Yep.
We've been behind the scenes with scouts. We've given you deep dives into some of these things. Now I think the meetings themselves that Evan was talking about, that's a little different that we've gotten to show you, but we've followed a guy on the road, a pro scout on the road, to do his job. We've followed, all kinds of different personnel here and what they do. And we're going to have a story, I think, soon. Ted Harper, the nutritionist, was just recognized with an award. Alex, who's not here today because she's on another community event, she's going to be doing a nice profile on that. Again,
we've done him before.
We're telling you behind the scenes stuff of what all these people do, and the content is out there. Maybe we need to do a better job of promoting it, but we've done a lot of these things that people are looking for.
Evan embedded with the scouting department.
Yeah.
I think Evan just needs to go to the scouting
He keeps
department.
on trying to get rid of me. Like,
I just think you're missing your calling.
This guy knows what he's talking
You're
about.
young enough. See, I'm too old. You're young enough to reinvent yourself. I'm not.
You'd like to talk about
it's
team,
fact.
so.
I could see you on the road in Kennesaw, Georgia, Paul.
Paul?
Yeah.
Breaking down offensive line,
Yeah.
Find the
Kidding
guard
me?
prospects.
Yeah. And when you're done downloading porn to your laptop.
That is what you have to do to be a member of the scouting department. Oh no, I'm just kidding.
This took a turn.
where are we going?
Boston Cream's on the line. What's up, Boston Cream?
Yo, donut.
Hey guys, I think we've reached our limit for tire pumps on your guys' video there. So Fred, people in the organization listen to you on certain things, right? You have a voice.
No. I'm out of the loop.
Okay.
I have no voice.
I would say that you're like the medium between the fans and the organization. Is that correct?
I can be at times. Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I've always taken you as someone who isn't scared of a challenge, at least in certain arguments on the show.
Sure.
So the fans have spoken, and the current uniforms aren't living up to the Patriots' standard of excellence. And as the voice of the Patriots fans, what can a man of the people like yourself do about it, Fred?
Well, that's a good question. And sometimes you're more effective being a voice if you agree with it. I don't really give a damn about the uniform, so I don't know if I'd be your most effective voice. But I have heard about that. And, I think that there's like a 5-year runway that you have to have when you want to make a wholesale uniform change.
Wholesale
uniform change. So, but I think, didn't they announce that they're going to have the rivalry uniform?
So there'll be the
It's only
rivalry
one
uniform
game.
this year. It's
We
only
got to
one
get rid of
game
the
now.
blueberries.
Yeah.
It's the
Well,
blueberry.
no, they didn't wear the one-piece blueberry last year, right?
I know, but
They did.
at the
They did?
Yeah. Now they had other games that they wore the dirty pants with the blue shirts
because
too.
because
they wore both.
No one wants to
but
see
nobody
the blueberries.
No, I agree. The one-piece blueberry, forget it. Throw that out.
And then at the NFLPA thing with the rookie symposium thing,
blueberries.
Travion Henderson and I think it was Kyle Williams were there, and they were wearing the full blueberries.
Really?
They went full blueberry.
They went full blueberry.
Yeah.
Just like in Willy Wonka.
So, do you guys have? Mr. Kareem, I'd be interested in your.
Well, I was just going to say, Paul, what would you like to see? Hello,
Mr. Kareem.
Is this thing on?
Sorry, I thought that question was to Paul.
No, for you.
To you.
I kind of like a lot of different things here. I don't want to go back to the dynasty. I think that just needs to live in the past.
What? Wrong.
I would like to see the Patriots work in more alternate uniforms so that everyone kind of gets what they want. But there's got to be a little bit of a modernization on probably the helmet, probably the jersey. And then it's okay to get the silver pants back. I think that's kind of iconic in Patriots history. But I don't have the answer. But I'm not as smart as Fred. So
I think the blueberry. I think it works as a jersey. I think it's the full ensemble that doesn't work.
This is my question to you guys: is it the monochromatic thing that we don't like, or is it the actual style of the uniform that
Usually
we don't like?
I don't like one color throughout. The only time, sometimes it looks good, like when the Bengals came out in the all white, that looked sharp.
See,
'Cause
I like it as a
stripe
one-off.
Yeah.
I do like them as a one-off, the one color.
Yeah.
Well, they did that. That was Color Rush. That these are and
and I
that
kind
was
of
a
like
one-off thing.
some of those. I
Thanks,
didn't like them
Boston
all.
Cream.
Now, I think that the blueberry jersey could more or less work with the silver pants, but the silver pants have to be made for the blueberry jersey.
Right.
They can't be made for the old, like the silver pants that they use now are
Dirty pants.
We're crossing sets of jerseys here.
Extremes.
Right.
I think I would say the tip uniform behind Paul over there, that white jersey with the red pants. I'd like to see some version of that. And then I just like to see a modernization.
To me, that looks so 70s.
I like that.
Well, that
That'd
was
be an
like
alternate.
late 80s.
But don't overthink it. I would just say update the dynasty uniforms, get a little bit more of a modern fit, maybe a little bit different.
What
number
is
font.
modern though? What
I
does
don't know.
that
I'm
mean?
not a designer, but I just think the cut could be a little bit more, maybe perhaps, so just as you get better, jerseys fit a little bit better. But that's the Patriots. Like, you want to flip on the TV and you know instantly who's playing. That's what happens when you turn on the Packers. It's always looked the same. They have the Cowboys, the 49ers, the dynasties in the NFL wear the uniforms that they were dynasties in, and that's who the Patriots are. I think that's who they should mostly be.
The 49ers.
So you're saying you don't want change?
I want those to come back. I want the dynasty, but update them.
But if they were all blue with that, like they did in 2002,
it's not the Patriots to me. No, I don't like it. Too much blue. It's blueberries.
I think the 49ers are a great example because they've modernized the dynasty jersey.
Yeah, and it's still like you flip the TV and
It's
you're
still
like,
the
it's the
49ers red and everything.
Somebody from the 1980s come in a time machine.
But which
turn on-
dynasty? They wore entirely different uniforms throughout their
That's
dynasty.
a fair point. I didn't care for the ones where they went like
The shadow numbers?
The shadow numbers.
I
Yeah,
don't
like the
like it.
Terrell
I doesn't
Owens.
like it.
I didn't like that. But they were in the same like vicinity, right? Like they weren't totally.
Well,
they
the red.
changed some of the font
Yeah.
a little
No,
bit.
I mean
but
the colors
the
were
color
the same.
scheme.
Like to your point, the Patriots changed their color scheme.
Yeah. They went blue.
The Niners
on blue.
didn't.
Yeah. So that's just to me. I think
no,
that's,
they went from red to blue. See, like you like one blue and you don't like another blue.
That's too much blue.
Which is what I'm.
It's like the
trying
blue
to
man
find.
group. I don't want
Right,
all that.
and that's what I'm finding interesting is you guys. You don't like the one color. You don't like the monochromatic look.
I didn't hate it when it was a color rush uniform. Like when it was once a year.
As a one-off.
Yeah, exactly. I like it as a one-off.
And I would agree with you.
And
guys.
I could swallow a pill on any one-off uniform.
I just don't like. I mean, obviously they had tremendous success. I don't really like the blue and gray with the Elvis. I don't. I like the old ones better, but they're never going back to the old ones, so it doesn't really matter.
See, I've kind of not had a problem, but wish that they'd go away from the silver helmet to white with the new logo. I think that would be sharp because, we're the Patriots. That's red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
Where does silver come into here?
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing
It's a fair point.
Musket balls.
I worry about like the Bruins have
Pewter.
like 16 different jerseys. Like they have all like I don't want that.
And your league, the NBA.
It's getting worse.
Yeah.
It's getting worse.
Your league.
It's not quite the Bruins. Like the Celtics have 3 different jerseys in rotation right now. They don't have.
Seems more to me. But what about the Red Sox new one? The new.
The new monster.
I didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it.
Didn't hate it.
Really,
They wore it once and then they didn't wear it again. You
Really
notice
liked
that
it.
over the weekend?
Really liked it.
Yeah.
I like them.
But,
Yeah.
but
I
if
liked
it's
it a lot.
supposed to be a different uniform,
Usually City Connect, you wear it for the series.
No, they'll wear it again, but
I'm sure they will. But they
Yeah.
didn't wear it after that game.
I
that
really
they lost.
I really liked those ones. I thought those were the best ones so far
Really?
of the alternates, and I thought they were really sharp. That green is obviously stoic with Fenway. Like that's a great
But that's what I kind of
connection to
liked
Fenway.
about it. There was a thought.
green.
Yeah,
It's green monster green. I kind of liked
I
it.
bought one of the hats. I'm not ashamed to admit. I love the hat. Thought the
I
hat
don't
was
hate the
very
look
cool.
of those other ones though, the blue and yellow ones. I just think they wore them too much.
And it's just also like I get the connection, I get the story behind them,
Right.
but it's not really Red Sox.
Yep.
No.
It was a one-time
Totally
thing
agree.
with the marathon that but now it's kind of
green monster shirts.
Adam in Louisiana, the current jerseys are way too generic. They look like the jersey you get assigned in a video game for a startup team.
Yeah.
There's no pizzazz to the uniforms. It's just blue and stripes.
It's a very constructive email.
There's nothing interesting
that.
about them. I'm in favor of the Dynasty uniforms coming back or a new rendition on the 90s Royal Blues.
I do like those 90s Royal Blues.
The
man.
Royal Blues, when they were out, people made fun of them.
I don't
They
care.
did.
They're great.
They
The
made
90s
fun
were
of
a
them.
better
Well, now it's
time.
like they're so bad. They're
I don't
good
remember
again.
them getting made fun of.
Oh.
But Fred, evidently, every uniform they ever had got made fun of.
That's right.
I love. I think
Like everybody made fun of the Pat Patriot.
They
I
did.
don't ever remember this.
Can
They
we
did.
can we bring them back like for like a anniversary game of like
Sure.
or something like
Yeah.
I mean just that's my childhood.
It's like
so.
all of it to me feels a little bit screwy because like even their practice jerseys still seem like they have the font from the old Dynasty jerseys on them, but it's a different font now. Like these are all things that I track, and I'm like, not track like in a database.
Well, that's how I
sense.
feel
I know
about
you
when
track
they,
it,
when
believe
they
me.
wear the blueberry top with the silver pants, but the silver pants belong to the Dynasty uniforms. They don't belong to
Yeah, and
these.
the stripes,
so the
it doesn't
stripes are all
match.
they
It
don't
doesn't-
match. I'm like, whoa, this looks
I'd love to
ridiculous.
like get a fashion person, like a legit fashion person, to break down the uniforms, like all of them, like all the ones they ever worn, and give like
Yeah.
an honest fashion informed opinion, whatever that means.
Okay. Back to football. Jason writes in
Why?
predictions for starting offense and defense.
all 22 guys.
Well, we're not doing that yet.
No.
Also, a game. What's everyone's hope, expectation, and better not be? Okay, so 3 categories. What's everyone's hope, expectation, and better not be for wins? So what's your
Okay.
hope?
17-0.
Right.
Well, is this record related or
No.
just general speaking?
Wins.
Hope 10 wins. Expectation 7 wins. Better not be 4 wins.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
easy way.
Yeah.
17-0. Hope.
What's your hope, expectation, and better not be for Drake May's touchdowns / passing yards?
Under 15 interceptions be
That was
Better not be interceptions are approaching the touchdowns.
okay.
It'd be like a 2
Well,
to 1
15
ratio.
is a good, yeah. 15.
But if
would-
he
would-
threw 40 touchdowns and he threw 15
Correct. I
picks.
agree with you.
2 to 1 ratio.
I think someone recently had like 41 and 16.
That's
Like I could live. I could live. I think
I think
Josh
that's
Allen
quite
might have had a
crazy.
year like
Yeah.
that.
That's quite
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
I
he's going
think
to throw 41
23.
touchdowns.
No, I'm just saying, like, to your point,
Yeah.
like, I can live with 15
Right.
picks if he's throwing 40
I hear you.
touchdowns.
Yeah. I think my hope for touchdowns is 40. My expectation is 30, and better not be 10.
Man, if he throws 30 touchdown passes, they're gonna be in the playoffs.
My hope is 30. My expectation is 25, and better not be anything less than 20.
What if he like runs in 10 though?
Yeah.
You know, like
My passing
Fair
yards.
point. See, there's more Evan pushback.
My passing yards is 4,200 hope, 3,500 expectation, and
I think I really,
under 3,000 better not be.
I got to have my expectation 4,000. I think in a 17-game season, I need my quarterback to play and throw
Okay.
for 4,000 yards.
All right, that's fair. And what about
May
points
4K.
per game allowed and scored?
Oh, Fred, under 15, right? Remember that a couple
Yeah.
of years ago? I mean, let's say 27.
a game.
So that's your hope for
No, that's right.
score.
That's my hope. No, score.
Yeah.
Offensively,
I knew that.
27. I'm not going to go to 30, but I mean 30. You know, that's
27.
But that's still pretty high.
I think the Mac Jones team was like 25 or 26 a game.
Exactly.
So I would say that that's probably
Sounds
That's-
like a lot of defensive scores.
that's probably the hope is that it would be the same as that. Obviously look different, but if we're being realistic.
Yeah, and be around
What's the
20.
expectation? 20?
Oh,
20. No, it's got to be at least 21 or more.
No, my expectation is 26.
26.
Expectation.
They're never going to lose.
That's a big number.
His expectation is 40 touchdowns.
All right, Patriots. Let's
Well,
see.
that
This is
makes
not
sense,
meeting
right?
expectations.
If that's what my expectation is.
Somebody that predicted them to go 13-4 might be right if Fred is numbers.
I thought we were trying to actually.
I think I'm going to score, and then I never score.
Oh,
Okay.
Beavis.
What is that?
That was Beavis.
I don't know. Ed in Florida writes in, with a new direction in the way the team is going, I think we should have new game day music. Crazy Train has run its course. My suggestion would be Enter Sandman. Does the group have any thoughts? I love that, but that's copycat, right?
You can't do. Yeah, I'm all for let's change it up because it's run its course, but we don't want to steal someone else's.
I know.
Right.
It's hard.
That's
it's really hard.
We want
Virginia Tech,
come
right?
up,
Mariano Rivera.
Come up with something that's different.
Yeah.
There's like Welcome to the Jungle. There's just songs that are just generic. I don't know. It's so hard. I think about this a
Welcome to
little
the
bit.
Jungle is the Celtics.
Yeah, right. Like I mean, there's like what 5-6 songs that everybody.
I mean, Enter
kinda
Sandman's a
uses.
great song, but like as a Bostonian, like I think of Mariano Rivera, and like we can't have that.
Yeah.
Like you can't be taking stuff from the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like,
great. Like that tradition is great. I just would think if you want, you need to start your own traditions.
Yes,
I'm a big
start
fan.
your
Now, I'm
own.
not telling you it's easy.
No.
But that's what the goal should be: is to start your own tradition, not steal someone
write
else's.
our own really kick-ass intro song. It's like us playing music.
New
You're on
England,
that.
the Patriots, and
Are
we
back on the field.
yeah,
Here
picture
they
like
come, the
it's like a big band era, like swing music.
Here come the Patriots.
Hey, you know.
We're gonna run all over them.
We're gonna go on the run, boys.
I'm pumped up. Are you?
We're gonna get a seal here and a seal here.
I'm gonna run all over them.
I'm gonna run it in the alley.
It is a great question. I think about it. Like sometimes I'm listening to like my iPod, my music, Apple Music, whatever. I
Your
listen to.
MP3 player?
My MP3 player, my cassette tape. It's just songs come on. I'm like, would this be a good one? There's no like, you can't come up with a new hype song. Like I feel like they already exist. It's hard to go outside of the box. You know.
Well, it's got to get you right at the beginning.
Does anybody use "Lose Yourself"?
I mean, the Lions have. I
They
feel
do?
like,
Yeah, Detroit.
I don't know if they use it, but like that's kind of.
Yeah.
No, I can't really.
You got to have that recognizable.
See, I like,
the moment you hear it. You know.
At the beginning of I don't know this Thor Ragnarok, they used "Immigrant Song" by Led Zeppelin. I love this, but that's like the dun da 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 dun da 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 dun da da.
Yeah.
You know, I got that. Now that
You can hit that high note over there.
He really has worked on his music in the offseason because I got both of them.
Well,
like that.
the Thor Hope trailer used that for their trailer, and it was really good.
Right? Yeah, that's a great pump up song.
Yeah.
But again, like we're going back to the '70s. Like there isn't like a modern song.
We don't do rock bands.
I know.
Anymore.
Well, you don't do the '70s, as we know with Jaws. So.
We don't do rock.
If you
bands.
do want to use Eminem, I would use "Till I Collapse." That's Eminem's.
That is a good one too.
I'm old, but like there's like certain songs that you hear like Hotel California. The moment you hear, I gotta listen.
Yeah.
Like there's one that I love from the Hollies called "Long Cool Woman in
Oh,
a
yeah.
Black Dress." Like when I hear that song, crank it up.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't think that would work today with these people.
It's very disappointing. Side note of music in general, like we don't have any of that.
No,
like
we can't use a diss track to come out to.
Right, like it's. I mean, that would be cool, but like we don't have any of that because like there's no such thing as bands anymore. You know, like you guys.
T-Swift.
It's a point of contention for me that like
I
that.
never really thought of that.
Like
but you're kind of right. There's
like,
no bands anymore.
Really, like I mean, Green Day was a band, but like that's like you literally have to go that far back to find like. An actual rock
What do you mean
band.
there's no bands?
Like there's no
There's
rock
not a lot of
bands.
bands.
Like we will
Imagine
never
Dragons took over the scene.
like we will never have like a Mick Jagger. Like that doesn't like we don't have a Rolling Stones. We don't have the Who, Led Zeppelin. Like that stuff doesn't exist.
Like you got to go back to like
AC/DC
20 years,
and,
like Nirvana.
So you're saying
Bon
Smash Mouth
Jovi,
is
or
just a
like,
front person,
Three Doors Down, like
right,
the
generic band,
Matchbox. Like
it's like
that's
Taylor
old.
Swift.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
Like you
like-
don't know who's in Taylor Swift's band.
No, it's not. It's not Led Zeppelin.
Right.
It's Taylor Swift.
It's interesting. I never thought of that.
Yeah, it's something that I've thought about a lot.
I guess like even like Pearl Jam, are they a band?
Yeah, but like they're going back a little bit. now,
Yeah, okay.
You know,
Alex checking in.
What she say?
like
While you're looking at that, Bill in San Diego says,
Pop that. French Montana featuring Rick Ross, Drake, and Lil Wayne. There's a Rick Ross line that goes, ballin', ballin' like I play for New England.
that's true. Yeah, that was back in the
Bill in
Dynasty
San Diego says, new Patriots song, somebody's going to get their heads kicked in tonight by the Resilios. I've never heard it.
I'm not familiar with that, but I like the title of it.
Yeah. Someone's going to get their head kicked in.
What are they in Everett?
Robert says Van Halen's Right Now.
Yeah, see, that's again, like
too nice.
AC/DC, Van
It's
Halen,
too nice.
like
you got to have an edge to it.
Alex says use Panama if you're going to use Van Halen.
Panama, I like Panama, but
I mean, the kids these days are going to be like, "What is this music?"
Yeah.
right.
Don't you just wish you could crack the code though and be like, wow, they played this is their entry song, and no one's ever thought of something like that before. We always do AC/DC and Metallica and Bon Jovi, all
Right.
those bands back then. Like everybody uses those songs.
Right.
We need something new.
That's
why we make our own
research.
songs.
This is what I'm
Make our
telling
own
you. There
song.
is nothing new. This is the problem.
We've got to make it. We're gonna write it ourselves.
I got the AI.
You have been
I
working
had
on
the
your
AI.
music.
I have been working on it.
Claire
How
says,
about Evan has returned from practice?
Yeah, there you go.
That's a banger.
It's a banger.
The Patriots have
Claire,
come to play
about
the game.
uniform, she says, okay, how's about they just pick silver or gray and stick with that as a complementary color so the helmet is the same gray or silver as the pants, but how's about they don't go back to the Dynasty look? I do agree with a modern twist of the Dynasty with the cut, but I do really like the more updated blueberry shade of blue. Let's go forward, not back.
Okay.
Hey, girl.
All right. Sure. A lot of opinions.
And
I
Scott,
didn't realize like
Not
the
consensus.
cut was a problem. Like I haven't.
yeah, I don't.
Is there an issue with like the uniforms
cut
don't
of the
fit
jet?
the
Well, I do
players?
remember,
Because they're
like,
all the same, right? Around the league, it's the same manufacturer.
Well, you know, it's
right?
like subtle. Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. It'd probably be inevitable, but the subtle changes you went to like the Reebok one that Seymour's in right there to the Nike one that Brady's in right there. You see some
I'm almost
subtle,
afraid to turn around
some
and
subtle
look.
differences.
I don't know if we can.
Because I have to admit that I don't notice the differences.
Oh no, yeah.
No, there is a different cut. Like you go back to like the '70s when they had the big shoulder pads.
well, look at the
and the
look at Hannah.
Yeah.
Like,
And it looks like my Pop Warner. Like
it looks like a comet is about to crush the earth. Oh no!
Scott in San Diego says the dropkick Murphy's shipping up to Boston. Cliche. Cliche.
yeah, I mean, like obviously, like the first couple notes of that are good, but
Right.
I agree. A little cliche.
Jack says Eminence Front by The Who. Why don't I know that?
I
It's
probably
Felger and
know
Mass.
if I heard it.
What's that one?
It's the end of Felger and Mass.
Oh, then no.
Yeah, they've ruined glorified.
Sorry, it's just.
Devin in Toronto says no
Come
bands.
and
Terrible take.
join
Just say you
our
don't keep up with Rick music anymore.
Rick
Okay.
music.
I don't know what
Okay,
Rick
tell
music.
me who are the popular bands.
My vote for entrance song is Blackout by Turnstile.
Yeah, exactly. No one knows who that is. If you're gonna,
look, you're still, you're
so
why
dismissive.
Because we're
Falling in Reverse
You
is
don't
such
know
a
who it
great
is.
band.
no, and no one knows who it is. Like we're I'm
but
sitting
are
here.
you a music aficionado?
No, but I'm sitting here.
So what are you talking about?
Because I'm sitting here talking about Rolling Stones, and he brings up Turnstile. Like,
so this is a modern band.
So, but all right. So I'm gonna, at the risk of defending Evan,
Paul comes in.
what are we talking about here?
So, don't you think if we're coming up with a song like this, it needs to be universally known? So, like,
well, I disagray with that premise. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think that
Why
a
don't
song
we
that's going
make
to
it?
jack.
We should make why not find a lesser known band that has a really good and make it universally known?
I don't. We got Alex
set a new
back
trend.
Okay.
Tell Alex to get to work on that one.
I just would feel like if you
Toe to the Stooligans is on it.
if you want 60,000 people to get jacked up before a game, I don't think you're going to do it with a song that they've never heard before.
Yeah.
Unless it's amazing.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
If it was amazing, you had heard it.
I don't think 58,000 people in the stands care about like
Turnstile.
Hardy. You could do that to Hardy.
Yeah.
Hardy is a music like snob, I like to call him, but he's going to be able to listen to something and say, "Wow, that's really good." Most people just listen to the songs that they know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not.
Do you know what I mean?
Pretending to be a music aficionado, but
I by no means.
But
am
like
I.
you guys are naming bands like that are iconic, all-time great bands. Like no band in my time on Earth has risen to those levels. That was the only point I was trying to make.
Bands, yeah. Well, Corey says that the Patriots need a new song. My vote is "Of Wolf and Man" by Metallica. Okay.
At what point did they put Carmina Burana in there? You know, you know that like kind of a classical song,
right?
That's an interesting twist.
I don't even
that
know
teams
him
do.
anymore.
Yeah,
multi-talented.
No, it's
It's
good.
better than Negative Deuce, though. I have to say that.
Musical Deuce.
Musical Deuce is better than Negative Deuce.
But Angry Deuce is the best.
Matt will probably know this one.
That's post
Till
game.
I
That's
Collapse
post game Deuce.
Yeah, that was the one I
Eminem.
suggested.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
It's very anthem-y.
It's a very anthem
Which
is
one's
a
that?
good word for it.
Till I
Till I
Collapse.
Collapse.
Oh, I know that song.
It's track 18 on the Eminem show.
Track 18.
You sure it's not 17? It's 18.
Positive.
Okay.
Positive.
Say what you say. It's track 17.
Sandstorm by Darude.
Yeah, Sandstorm is like a like dubstep song.
I
Like,
wish I was writing all these down. I want to listen to all of them.
Iron Man from Black Sabbath.
I do love. I mean,
I
I
say
heard
Brick
Vrabel
Stuff
say
by
he
Limp
loves
Bizkit.
"For Whom the Bells Are." Yeah, right. No, Those About to Rock. Sorry, Those About to
How
Rock.
about WAP by Cardi B?
see,
I don't know that one.
Diggs?
Love Cardi B.
WAP.
That is. I'm looking forward to that because she's gonna come to a game.
Yeah.
Has to, right?
Spit my
I
Diet
mean,
Pepsi over the board, Paul.
that'd be great.
L says, Evan saying that there aren't bands anymore is one of the most insane things I've ever heard. There are tons of bands, ones that tour the world even.
Okay,
I kinda
I think
get
we've
Evan's
I think we've
I
jumped
get-
the
I
shark
get
here
Evan's
and
point.
put on this.
I totally get
I'm
your
not saying
point on
that
this.
bands don't exist anymore. Like obviously bands exist, but if I had to say to you like who is the band of my generation, I don't have a great answer for
Right.
you. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair enough. All right, that's the end of the show. I gotta go.
The answer to Evan's
Yeah,
thing is Limp Bizkit.
I gotta go graduate.
I got things to do. All right, thanks for listening. Everyone have a good weekend. Anything on the docket that we need to talk about?
No, Memorial Day
Coming up?
weekend.
All right,
Yeah.
Memorial weekend.
Final
so,
Four lacrosse.
Yeah, that's right.
Big weekend of lacrosse right here in Foxborough.
I'll be here on Saturday. All right, we'll see you next Tuesday.
Hey, this is Alex. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you really want to help us, make sure you like us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, make sure you follow us on the New England Patriots YouTube channel to see this show and everything else we do here at the Patriots. Thanks a lot.